Hey everybody, welcome back to an all-new X's for Show, your premier media response show, where today we are talking about all the best and worst, and I guess just all of the Fox X movies. I am Nico, and you guys can check me out at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION.
And I am TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
And I'm Tori. You can find me at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
And that makes me your producer, Kevo. You can find me at Kevo Really. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so that we can know what you want us to cover in the future. Hey there, Tasty Cake. Glad to have you here with us. But today we already have something on the docket, as we try to. And we're talking X-Men movies. We are a huge X-Men family, and so obviously we're going to have a lot of opinions.
You know, Snick Snack goes my Jabberwocky blade. One of the things that I think is so interesting about the X-Men movies is that they span a different amount of time than the MCU movies do. They span a different amount of time than any given Batman franchise does. They span an era where it went from, can I borrow your cellular phone and use it only on nighttime and weekends for the minutes that are unlimited? To now, like, if you don't have your phone on you, you feel broken.
They span even before that. 1999 is not even quite. Can I have your Can I just have the nighttime? That's like,
I agree.
Not. The teens did not have cell phones. It was just like Cher from Clueless, and we were all Cher and Zach Morris, and we were just trying to
giant
get
iron. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
My cousin Lisa had a car phone for when she worked as a manager at Joyce Leslie. Let me just tell you.
And it's one of those things where, like, that first X-Men movie, like, they have Cerebro, they have like very advanced technology, but they do not have cell phone. They're still on walkie-talkies when they're communicating.
So we're going to talk about these movies that span an unbelievable amount of time. There are good, there are bad. There's a lot of Oscar winners. I think this franchise can go Oscar winner for Oscar winner with the MCU. Also,
what?
You got some.
Is this a joke?
No, but like, there's an insane number of like Oscar and Tony Award winners in this. Like,
okay. I thought you meant the films.
No.
Performers, yeah.
Even stuff like I love all of the awesome, like, what is it? Like Learning to Walk by Foo Fighters at the end of Thor.
Yes.
The Sun Will Rise at the end of Avengers. There's some good songs, but absolutely nothing in the entire Marvel oeuvre can compare with Ashes. There's a piece we can play in the background, Kevo, if you want to switch over to. We got the
cover
of Ashes.
Oh, do we have
that? I did.
I do have that. Yeah, here we go.
So big. I'm having such a Selena Sans. Anyway,
this is go.
No, I was gonna say. Anyway, this is my cover of Ashes.
Yeah, which is so good, and like Ashes being ultimately one of my really top Celine Dion songs when we were going through it is just totally wild to me, because I really like, as soon as it came out for Deadpool, and I had to remind myself of this today because I was a little cynical about the track listing for the film for Deadpool and Wolverine, mostly just because it was sort of like a I don't quite care thing. X-Twitter, Ali Galactic says, X-Twitter says all these movies are D-tier. Ali, for one thing, we haven't seen you in a minute, and it is so good to see you, and we're so glad you're here.
Hello.
I can't wait to see your rankings. X-Twitter is majority not maybe wrong, but they're missing.
I don't know. X-Twitter can lick my balls because they're okay with some of From the Ashes. So, like,
it's true. Not only that, they are really like for it. They're also really into Ultimates, which is a fine book, but I'm shocked at how like they think it's amazing. I don't get it.
That was a joke. Because I also like things about From the Ashes as well. I just feel like we've lost. I don't know. It used to be gay, do crime, stay angry, and now everybody's
now it's just like let's hype it up. Anyway, Ashes, really just incredible song and phenomenal use in the movie, both as like kind of comical and also really serious, but it's just a great Celine Dion song. Anyway, I'm just reminded that although I'm a little cynical about the Deadpool and Wolverine soundtrack, there's a really good chance that all of the songs will be used really well in context, and I'm just trying to remind myself of that.
Tori, you haven't said nearly enough. Let's talk about the fact that you're wearing a woman right there on your shirt who is one of the most beloved
Oh, hey,
characters
girl.
ever. So
I love
beloved
Rogue.
that they had to give her a special cut of a movie that she got cut from. There's a Rogue cut of Days of Future Past to reinsert her because they decided to cut her at the last minute, basically.
Well, what's really wild is that you just can cut her from the movie and it's completely fine. You really do not skip a beat. So what happens is they're like, oh, shoot, Kitty Pryde's getting tired of holding on to Logan's head and keeping him in the past. Go get Rogue because she can absorb Kitty's power and just do the exact same thing. So literally, it's the scene where they decide to do it. They take the X-Jet and they have to break her out. She's a prisoner. So they have to break her out and go get her. And then they grab her, bring her back to their little hideout in China where they're sending Logan back in time. And Rogue is just like, oh, yeah, I'll take over. Grabs Kitty's powers, takes over. And then she is there until the Sentinels break into the Chinese temple. She's basically there until Charles and Eric die in the future. And they just were able to completely cut her out, and you have you don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
Poor Anna Paquin.
Yeah, it sucks because she actually is really trying to give her performance. They age her a little bit, but in a way that they don't give her a lot of bad wrinkly makeup. They just kind of do her hair a little grayer, and she actually has aged since the last time we saw her in one of the films. So I don't know, it worked really well. I get time-wise why it maybe had to be cut. And it honestly, it doesn't add anything to the film to have her there. It's just kind of a cool idea.
Well, so then Tori, talk to me about, I didn't know you were going to be on this episode until Kevo was like, Tori's going to be on this episode. And I was like, amazing. So have you seen all of these? Have you seen most of these? Did you see them when they came out? Are you like a Disney Plus queen?
I saw X-Men. I'm pretty sure I've seen X2. Maybe I've seen X-Men Last Stand. I've definitely seen First Class. I've definitely seen the Chris Evans Fantastic Fours. And I've seen the Deadpools.
Chris Evans' Fantastic Four will not be on this list, but I am super glad you saw it. I saw it. I loved it. I think that Chris Evans as Johnny Storm is the correct Marvel casting for him. And
the only one we should have.
No, that is correct. That is the only one we should have. Somebody else should have played Captain America. Anyway.
God, listen to the angry.
Well, I'm sure Michael B. Jordan did a lovely job of something.
Did a fine job with the role.
He actually did not. His correct casting was Killmonger.
Okay.
That movie is terrible. Anyway,
I'm gonna move us in. We're doing
let's get into it.
Let's start ranking some movies. Okay. First one up, X-Men 2 and X-Men The Last Stand, July of 2000, May of 2003, and the third one slightly obscured by a different window now, but definitely was released and came out. Let's start with X-Men. I saw this in theaters, and when I saw this in theaters, I grew up a kind of kid. So when this came out, I was like, the moment. It is me. It is now. It is here. Turns out, no. As an adult, every time I go back and rewatch X-Men, the first movie, I am confused how it didn't air on WPIX and it doesn't just star Bruce Campbell and it isn't on before Cleopatra 2525. It is so cheap looking. It is so silly looking. But I cannot help but agree with Ali Galactic in her brilliant determination of very high B. This is a B+ movie for me. It makes me want a plus system, but it's a B movie for me. I want to like it more than I do, but I don't.
You, in classic Nico fashion, described it in a way that does not describe a B+.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, he's going for a D? And I agree. I do think it is. I actually would say it's lower. I think it's just a solid B. I we can't discount enough how much this movie set the standard.
Yes,
We didn't have anything else. Avengers would not be this good without X-Men.
Bryan Singer didn't have a franchise to be problematic in until this.
Yeah, I mean, he was just going around Hollywood, fucking 17-year-olds on a wing and a prayer, thinking some of them might believe he was going to make a movie one day. Little did we know what would happen later. All that said, I mean,
the house that Claremont built.
the physicality of Rebecca Romijn, the way that certain things, like, so many people don't realize that our Magneto in the comics prior to this movie was very different than the Magneto in the comics after because of this movie.
Yeah, he went really behave.
It is low budget. Like, it's just missing a lot of the stuff. There's things like, I don't think you could have made a better decision than the leather outfits, but they are bad. Like, it's the thing of recognizing we don't have the technology, we don't have the artistic know-how to make their comic accurate costumes look good in a way that's going to work for this hour-and-a-half movie. So we're going to give them this workable solution that isn't actually great, but it is our best option. There's a lot of stuff with this movie that is exactly, look at the Twin Towers in the background on that.
And like, that's even
I was about to be like, that's just the slice in the middle of the X, dude. What are you talking about? Oh, that one.
This is such a quintessentially 1990s edgy poster where everyone is just in silhouette. It's got this lit up like outline of New York City that is unfortunately going to be, within a few years, nothing you'll see on a movie poster ever again.
What a riot that he goes after Ellis Island, and we're so lucky that was the case in 1999.
Yeah.
Also, Wolverine looks like such a pervert hiding behind that door
Here.
Truly.
Weird little fucking creeper. Get out of here, you weirdo.
Well, and I feel like everything about this was meant to be like a grand reveal of the first true X-Men to exist in live action, and that's why it's this iconography of like this door opening and everyone in shadow for the full reveal. And,
also, Wolverine is kind of a weird creeper pervert in this movie. I just want to throw that out there.
Everyone kind of is, aren't they?
Tori, I want to know, are you going to throw things at the weird creeper pervert or no? Do you?
I give this one an A because I'm nostalgic and weird. I love, like, I really like this movie. I enjoy almost everyone in the cast. I think it is charming and sweet in that late 90s, early aughts kind of way. I love that Rebecca Romijn isn't mocapped. Like, this is all painted on, real effects. Like, we're still in the world where this is real effects as much as we possibly can. Deciding to choose these celebrated actors, getting Ian McKellen, getting Patrick Stewart, getting Halle Berry in a thankless role. Like,
again and again.
But also, let's be very clear, she did not deserve a ton of thanks.
Oh, and who was almost Wolverine and then turned it down?
Dougray
Scott. Thank you.
Who I would have preferred only if to get Hugh Jackman later. I would have liked to have set the standard that people who suck can be Wolverine, so that, because I feel like now Wolverine is the only situation that is worse than the Russo brothers coming back for Avengers 5 and 6. We're never going to get rid of Hugh Jackman, and thank God that he is insanely beautiful and he's going to be 80 and still ripped as she's going to make Sean Connery look like a fool. But I got to get him out of this fucking role. That Ryan Reynolds was like, he's the only person that can do it, really scares me. This is like the Joe Biden situation, but with Wolverine. We got to get him out of here, man. I can't do this forever.
All love.
So much love. Let's pass that there torch.
Make some room at the bottom.
Do you girl from Oz? I boy from Oz. Do you girl from Oz?
Yeah. No, I learned about Hugh Jackman in this movie.
So you
Really?
weren't like a theater fag for Hugh Jackman.
No, this movie came out before I'd started doing theater. This came out before high school for me.
I was aware that he was separately a theater faggot. And when I came to discover that he was the same theater faggot that was the Wolverine one, it's like one time I'm having a conversation with Jonah where he implied that he was under the impression that the Liz Phair that recorded Exile in Guyville had been okay with this other lady recording the later Liz Phair songs as Liz Phair, just using her name. And I had to be
correct.
like,
Jonah's correct. Don't disabuse him of that.
No,
Let him live in that
I
one.
am also
That's better.
I was under the impression that Annie Lennox was also Annie Leibovitz, and they are two very different people. I just thought that sometimes the photographer had a
I'm
band.
obsessed with
You know
that.
what? Not weird.
No, I'm absolutely obsessed with that. Again, I think we're talking about a lot of things where we should just live in these delusions. I think they make the world better for everybody.
Yeah, and the ultimate delusion is watching us try to behave like Iceman is straight in this movie, which is so just wonderful.
yeah, look,
I want to get that image because
there's a lot of eras where Iceman is clearly a heterosexual, not gay at all. They are writing him so problematically straight. We don't want him. But one of the things that I think is really funny is whichever Ashmore, that is his legal name, whichever Ashmore it is really
you froze for me.
character.
Did freeze. And that
It
is
is,
a reminder.
The Ashmore is really what?
What?
I'm taking you back.
I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. The Ashmore gives like the gayest performance by a straight person ever.
Yes.
He blows on that beer bottle.
But again, that's in the blowing is in 2.
Oh.
Which 2 is gayer.
Did you just say he blew them in 2?
Are you
got
serious?
it.
I thought it was in 1.
I did say that.
I believe
I
you.
thought it was in 1 too, but I guess 1 is the one where Wolverine just sort of gently inserts his claws into Rogue.
There's a lot of penetration with the claws. 1 is also the one where Pyro is just a boy that Jonathan Singer picked up in a hot tub and was like, is like, you're gonna be in the X-Men movie. You're gonna be Pyro, and then of course, like later, executives were like, no, you can't cast this boy child in the X-Men movies. Like, we're hiring a real actor to play Pyro.
It's what they did.
And
to
now I
Daniel
feel bad because
Cudmore.
what's that?
It's what they did to Daniel Cudmore. Like, you know that pair of little blue
well,
and
Daniel
yellow-
Cudmore at least got a couple movies out of it.
But they literally threw a pair of little booty shorts at him and said, change into these in front of us.
Yeah. And he didn't even get to keep it for Deadpool, unfortunately. I'll be interested to see if he shows up for Deadpool and Wolverine, just because it would be a nice little gesture.
All right, who's got to vote on this one?
Kevo.
I think I'm going to go with A for the nostalgia. I can't quite go S as far as Tasty Cake goes because there's flaws. But A is still a really solid grade, I think.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I have trouble with this next one because as a young man who came out, as a young man who always did see the X-Men as a gay, queer allegory, it's really funny because I use gay even though I see myself as queer, so I never mean to exclude anybody from that umbrella. X2, 2003, this was one of the first movies that I intentionally saw multiple times in theaters. I want to give it an S. But, like, I can't give the Usual Suspects an S anymore. So I can't give any Bryan Singer movies an S anymore. And
there's also S movies. Like, the X-Men franchise writes its ranking. Like, it creates its tier. And because there are S movies coming up.
Yes. Okay. So I can give this one.
I'm giving this one an A.
Okay. I'm giving this one an A. And I just want to give it an A. Like the first time I surprise made out with a guy, it was like, I knew that me and this dude were both kind of queer and I knew that we were hanging out kind of special and everybody was kind of like, oh, Nico's off with Mike again. And like, everybody kind of knew. And like, then one day we're just hanging out and we're just kissing and it was magic. And it's something I look back on and I'm like, he was a horrible kisser. And everywhere we kissed was so bad. Yeah. And it was sticky and bad and summer and I looked a mess. And
but it was your first kiss.
Well, what?
You first.
I don't think it was his first kiss. is what I'm hearing.
Well, first dude
No.
kiss.
First surprise kiss. Like, I'd kissed people before, but it was always like,
okay.
I'm trying to mac with you. This
Okay.
was like, it just kind of happened. We're both gay, and it just kind of happened. And like, this was that. This was like so unique and different. I want to give this an S, but it can't be better than an A for a trillion real life reasons.
This is the one where we get Nightcrawler, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
we have Nightcrawler
So
in the first scene.
this is the one that they decided they should have in Spanish for Spanish class when we were being very good little AP students.
They were correct.
We got Selena.
Was it the
So-
Spanish track or was it just this movie?
No, it was this movie with the Spanish track and Spanish subtitles. So we were AP students. We weren't allowed to have English subtitles. So
I was not an AP student. I always, like Nico said, just got the movie Selena.
Yeah, if you took the AP test, you got out of the final, and I would rather make my parents spend $75 on a test than not do well on a final, because by senior year I was done.
I got a 5 on English. I got a 5 on music, and I got a 1 on.
Yep, pair of 5s for English, but double English and psych, and a big old 2 on my AP art portfolio. Suck it, I'm published. So for me, the second one is an S tier. I loved adding Alan Cumming to this. It's one of my favorite parts. It's why when people are like, I love Nightcrawler, I'm like, I agree. So yeah. Big fan.
Yeah, like Nico, this is an A for me. Can't be an S because we do have S stuff coming up. And like I said, the X-Men movies define their whole ranking system. There's things like no matter what happens with any of the X-Men movies, despite the fact that I love them both, together, like separately, they are right as these characters, but together, James Marsden and Famke Janssen are wrong as Scott and Jean.
I also think that Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman up there look like the cover to the sequel to Face Off.
Yeah, this is another. They look like weird perverts, but it's kind of in a different way this time around. They look like they're going to date rape each other.
How is that even Hugh
weird
Jackman?
perverts for everything.
They also, what they did to Famke's hair wasn't very kind. Alan Cumming, for as great as he is, the character isn't good.
No, it is based on such a weird, obscure version of Nightcrawler, and so there isn't really build on other than religion.
What's her name is amazing as Lady Deathstrike, but again, it's just like,
Is that Kelly Hu?
I want to say yes. Yes. It's a weird, like, it's a fractional version of the character that then again, because it's recognizable from the film, it becomes a bigger thing in the comics, which I didn't like. Oh gosh, there's a bunch that's just weird about this movie, but it is good. Yeah, it's an A. Gabissimo.
I think I might go full S with this one.
Go, girl.
Specifically, you're sure the beer bottle is this one, right?
Yeah, 100%
Because it's
sure.
not even just that. It is the conversation that they even used in the commercials of, have you tried not being a mutant?
Yeah, how is
Yes,
not just a
that's
Ghost
the
Man
shit.
story?
I
Yeah.
don't get what everybody is talking about. I do not get how the spitting in the beer bottle is gay. I just don't think it's sexy at all. I don't think either of them. I don't know. I don't get it. I would be hotter if he spit in Hugh Jackman's mouth. But
Oh, he's not spitting, he's blowing on it.
but it kind of.
It depends on how you feel about the transfer germs.
Some of us like subtlety, okay? We're
No,
delicate.
thank you,
2003,
ma'am.
The fact that and the queer allegory was so front and center was a really cool thing. And for that, at the very least, I think I want to go with S.
I for sure get you. Oh God.
So here's the thing. I remember being
And
in
then
the
it brings us
theater
to this.
on May 25th at 10 p.m. and seeing this movie. It was one of those things where like the signs were bad from when they were saying that Bryan Singer wants Sigourney Weaver to play an inexplicable old lady version of Emma Frost in his X3, and then he jumps over to Superman and takes James Marsden with him, and it's just such a mess. And then you get Brett Ratner, who is, I mean, I want to make he is the Rush Hour of director joke. It is one of those weird situations. I don't know. This movie's bad. Everyone looks bad except Ben Foster, who maybe almost makes Angel Wings work. But I just had a crush on him when I was a kid, and he was on like Disney Channel shows, and we were the
and
same
other
age.
weird stuff. My movie, get over it. Hello, Martin Short.
The one thing that this movie gives us that is the biggest eye roll, but also the greatest thing ever, is Kelsey Grammer as Beast giving us the St. Crispin's Day speech. Is one of those things that as a theater nerd, you get so few of those in your life.
And
don't
but
get
also like
Steiner doing 1776 on the holodeck. You get this.
This is very proto Robert Downey Jr. should play Iron Man, because for the kids that watched X-Men the Animated Series and Frasier, it felt like Kelsey Grammer was the voice of Beast. Like, in the same way that Patrick Stewart is Professor X. Like, it just felt like, obviously, I think we all thought physically it wasn't ever going to work. Shockingly, they kind of made it work. I don't know. That's like one of the better things about this film is that Kelsey Grammer is Beast. Again, I wish they had not kept up with it. I'm a little worried about what's happening now. I have concerns. But
yeah, I mean, he's Frasier and Beast again. I definitely feel like I'm back in college.
Yeah, there's a bit of a time warp happening. My claim to fame on this one is that I'm very good friends with Warren Worthington Sr., a guy named Mike Murphy, who also played Tanner in Tanner and Tanner. Great actor, really great guy, and my favorite thing in the world is he knows what a huge X-Men fan and comic book fan I am, so he likes to just sit down and tell me stories from this movie, and they're all about how Brett Ratner is a complete and total piece of shit.
Can't win.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love it. But this is definitely a C.
Did I say D yet? Did I give it a
no,
D? I meant to give it a D.
Yeah, I was about to say this is definitely a C. It's probably a D. Again, like Nico, I remember being in the theaters, but for me, this was a first date with a guy that was my best friend's boyfriend that I was actively trying to steal from my best friend, which is not even the worst of my crimes as somebody
What
who...
an Addison.
Wow.
I'm a terrible person. I'm a bad person, but it was a really great date. We definitely made out in the middle of the movie, which made it seem a lot better than it was. I think Famke looks fantastic, and even though it's not Dark Phoenix, the look is cunty as fuck. There's something about it that is very Bad Girl. It's so close to making me want to give it a C.
It's like a 9-year-old dressing up like MIA and singing Bad Girls.
No, it's better than that. But also, you know what? If you are a 9-year-old girl who decides to dress up like MIA and sing Bad Girls, you are a bad
iconic.
bitch. I love you. I'm gonna root for you. I'm gonna get you through high school and make sure you're really cool. I'm gonna take you to an Ice Spice concert.
Whatever you want to do, babe. You are the queen of my world. You are my favorite.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think it's probably a D, but
Yeah.
Kevo
this
or
girl
Tori,
is
do you want to
amazing.
argue and try and make me make this a C? Oh, Elliot Page is in it too.
Oh yeah, this did
Better
introduce.
Elliot Page than Elliot with 2 T's.
Elliot with 3 Ks.
So I give it a C because I vaguely remember this one, but it gets a C because it has that wonderful conversation where people try to convince Rogue there's nothing wrong with her.
Okay.
And it's a little tough to take especially when you're a young gal who's like, I too shall never know the touch of another human. So this one is
Tori, why
lovely.
did you think that?
There's a lot of I was not
Cranford's weird.
Cranford's weird. Yeah. You grow tits and you think the boys will finally like treat you human, and it just you like reach down to pick up a pencil and they just go, you're disgusting.
Tell Fat Nico all about it.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's a weird town. Anyway, so I like this one. I remember a lot about Angel and like him trying to hide his wings and then bursting out of places with them and stuff like that, and the little bits of background that we got from each of these characters. So it's a C for me, but I do admit that it suffers from it's the third movie and we don't know where this is going problem.
I think, the things that are positives for this will bump it up from a D to a C, but I definitely can't give it any higher than that, because for as much as I think it's great that they introduced Elliot Page's Kitty Pryde here, I then remember that they introduced the incredibly obnoxious Bobby and Kitty making Rogue jealous, as if the Bobby and Rogue stuff wasn't already weird in the first place, and everything that they did. Everything they did with the character, that's exactly what happened. That's the line they need to go with now. And so all of that was weird. So I want to give it a C, only because D is our lowest grade, and I think it deserves at least a little bit better than that.
I have a question.
In
the comics, does Gambit always show up already an adult? Or do we ever see like teenage school?
No, he's an adult and we see flashbacks. But
He's never at the school. And like in adaptations, he's almost never young and at school with them when they're teens. We see a few comic things where we see his teenage years, but he's always in the swamp of the Louisiana area doing crimes and being with his weird thieves guild, assassins guild situation. I don't think in a single adaptation we have seen him as a student at the school.
I think sorry.
No, go.
I just think part of the problem with this too is that they never properly aged the characters who were originally students in a way that was significant. They were kind of incredibly students at the beginning and the end, despite it being 6 years in real time and then an entire trilogy. I think Rogue needed to feel a little bit more like an adult by the end, and I don't think they let Rogue and Bobby and all those characters feel like adults enough.
You know, that's actually one of the things that has really been pulling me more toward DC lately. Seeing the aged hierarchy of Robins. The fact that there are so many
and
Robins.
Titans, it's wild. Like it was something I kind of didn't understand until going into DC with you this time, is like the Titans I always thought of as the Teen Titans, not just because
32.
Right, and they treat them like that.
Yeah.
It's even at the time of the X-Men Titans crossover, they're starting to be like, these are like adult.
Funny.
Like did they start as sidekicks? Sure, but they are now like adults, and they never really de-age them down in main continuity. Like we have a few kids that are, like Artie and Leech are in 1985.
How are they like the fucking Trend twins on Insta by now? Like,
truly,
what is wrong with these people?
It's so odd that Artie and Leech, who are there before all of Generation X, are the same age as they were in 1985. And like, I get it, like the sliding time scale, blah, 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 blah. But like, sometimes we've taken it too far. And the X-Men movies really do remind you of this a lot of times because
I agree.
You're right, they do really fall into the comic trap as well, where like Rogue, Bobby, and Kitty should basically be adults by The Last Stand, and should definitely be adults by Days of Future Past, and like they kind of are in Days of Future Past. Rogue is definitely an adult. Like that's what I was saying when I was explaining it to Tori. Like they make her look really significantly older, but then it's like kind of by comparison, it feels like Kitty and Bobby are maybe not that old. I don't know. It's weird, and the comics suffer from the same thing. The X-Men are really precious about the identities of their characters as they relate to age. What do you got?
I want to put a pin in that for a comment that I have later for when we get to Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
So,
well, let's keep going so we can get there.
I want to say that I have a really specific memory of I had a boyfriend who was super significant to me coming into my adult fandom. Was like, you like comic books? Me too. Like one of my favorite video games is an X-Men video game. It's a fighting game, X-Men Next Dimension. I'd love to play it with you sometime. Tell me about the characters. And I shared a lot of my nerddom with him, and we were both like angry people, and so he wasn't really receptive. And I remember being like, hey Kevo, this is kind of the last weekend you can see X-Men Origins Wolverine in theaters. It's going to go out of theaters. Can we drive 30 minutes to go see it together, please, so that I can see the first ever Wolverine movie in theaters, please? And
I think about that a lot. Yeah, we did that very spontaneous. That was last second.
And Kevo was like, let's get in the car. Let's go. You love this thing. You talk about X-Men way too much. Let's go. And we got in the car.
Oh, you guys are gay.
And we
Very
saw,
gay.
and I just want to say, Ali Galactic, I wouldn't go lower than a D for X-Men Origins Wolverine. I genuinely think, if it's going to sound so insulting, and I don't mean it that way, but if this was a sci-fi webisode show,
yeah,
this is the greatest sci-fi channel webisode show ever made.
Okay.
yeah,
Yes.
you're not wrong. I mean, like, so one big problem is Hugh. Yeah,
but it's bad, but they try.
That's like how I feel about the live-action Disney adaptations. Like, if they were just Wonderful World of Disney movies, they wouldn't be that terrible.
and like Hugh Jackman by this point is too big for this movie, and like the fact that it's not good with him as Wolverine is really a problem.
Well, and Hot and Weary giving the
I was going to say Liev Schreiber is
bulimiest hottest ever.
Oh yeah,
he's so gorgeous, but he's so wrong for this role. Ryan Reynolds, of course, I don't know who this character is, but Ryan Reynolds
can assassinate himself.
He's completely wrong for this part.
I forgot about this Emma.
Oh yeah.
God, yes!
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
This guy, Friday Night Lights, is terrible as Gambit, which again, not his fault, but that kid isn't good as Cyclops. I mean, it's just all bad. They're all wrong.
Troy
Everybody's wrong.
Sivan is young Wolverine.
Yes, and if that does not come up in Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm going to be so upset.
The only reason why it probably won't is because of scheduling, but I'm sure it was discussed because it's very funny.
Mentioned in it.
I
bet it's gonna come out of Deadpool's mouth. Hey, do you remember when you grew up to be a gay pop star?
But yeah, I mean, like, I think even Wolverine is wrong. I think even Hugh Jackman is wrong for Wolverine in this movie, because you're right. It should be webisodes. It should be something else. It should not be this. We didn't have Netflix yet, but this would have been great as a lower budget, lower expectation streaming film. Man, I'm really just reminded that like Hugh Jackman prior to Days of Future Past was a very different beast in terms of being Wolverine. And I'm
human size and
I'm really reminded that Daniel Radcliffe could absolutely pull off this role. There were a couple times where in the shots that we were looking at for X3 for The Last Stand, he really does look like Daniel Radcliffe. Like they look
is so buff now.
This, like, when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, that's very Daniel Radcliffe right there. Like that
Daniel
hair
Radcliffe is literally more shred than that.
And also like the hair looks like Daniel Radcliffe's hair in Goblet of Fire.
Oh, great. Yep.
Yeah.
And like, so that's again just my point about like I really want to stop talking about how Hugh Jackman is the only person for this role, because He is just not. And
I
also,
think
if he
Tom
keeps,
Hardy would have been great too.
yeah, really fantastic. Unfortunately now he's so Venom that he'll never. But he's somebody else who I would have been happy for this. Yeah, this isn't a bad idea. It just everything about the execution is not quite correct in any way.
I wish it had an execution. I'm kidding. Ali Galactic, you are a queen of vision. It should be a
Correct.
better movie. What a great way to put it.
That's
Tori, as another queen of vision, talk to me about what you think of when you think of a Wolverine movie. Did you see this? And if not, do you regret it because of those varicose veins running all over Hugh Jackman's beautiful bicep?
Okay,
Hugh Jackman.
I am not a lady who enjoys veiny arms, so that I'll leave that to my sisters. I was very excited for this because I love backstory. I love getting to find out like what makes them, why are they here, how did they get here, all that good stuff. Getting the band together for the first time.
How the hell Pan left?
And then in fruition, it was not as wonderful as I had thought it would be, and it was not good at all. So it's a D for me.
Cruel Mistress. Bargain.
It's also the fact that it's X-Men Origins Wolverine because they were doing X-Men Origins Wolverine in comics at the time.
And they were going to do X-Men Origins Magneto, and that became First Class.
Yep. It just really feels. It feels like such a huge mistake. But just like, I mean, like they today with everything under the same banner, owned by the same company, everybody having the same rights, everybody stands to benefit the correct amount. Marvel still cannot get its shit together 50 to 70% of the time to coordinate the comics and the films, to cross brand, to cross promote. And
the Eternals.
So the idea that at this time, you know, they're putting out X-Men Origins, the comic, and somebody is like, we'll do the movie. And it just.
Tori, Kevo, grade this bad bitch. Tori, even if you haven't seen it, I don't care. Grade how you think Liev Schreiber and Hugh Jackman would make out. Like literal dream of my life.
Well, I just walked you through mine before TKs and gave it a D. So what does Kevo have to say?
Sorry. I'm so sorry I missed the D. I caught everything else but the letter. My deepest apologies.
So what was yours again, sir?
I gave it a very loving C.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same. Especially just the Troye Sivan thing just gets more hysterical every year. It was hysterical very quickly before the world even knew, and then it exploded and became even more. And this is hysterical. The Ryan Reynolds playing this weird early non-Deadpool, and now here we are. And, you know, as a stepping stone to everything that's come after. I'm going to also give this one a C, because this one is definitely a D. That is not a question from me. No.
It's
this one
wild that this was supposed to be directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Hold on.
Doesn't entirely surprise me.
And the reason this movie gets a full the fuck on A, and you can eat my fat dick.
That whole thing with him stumbling up the hill?
Oh, you're excited that it actually follows the comics.
All I care about is Yukio is in this movie.
There it is.
I care about literally nothing else about this movie. Top to bottom, I'm a bad film critic. You can cross me off your New York Times motherfucking list. Yukio is in this movie. I'm going to give Deadpool 2 an unreasonably high grade, and it is explicitly because of the 10 seconds of Yukio.
Yukio's in it for more than 10 seconds in Deadpool 2, and she's awesome. I would think that you would give this one a D because Yukio sucks so much in it and isn't
horrible, but he looks good. She's great as an actress, as a performer. No, Ali Galactic, you have it exactly right. The first two acts are great. The third act just has no idea what it's doing. I give it an A because one of the things I thought that this movie represented was an opportunity to try doing a stylized singular film. Logan couldn't exist without the failure of the Wolverine to set the standard for the idea of the stylized film. Think about the 3 Spider-Men. They're shades of the same. Think about the 3 X-Men. Shades of the same. Think about the Batman. Shades of the same. But this said, what if the second one has nothing to do with the first one and seeks to be a genre film? I think within that scope, The Wolverine in 2013 is a success that sucks.
You're set up. Go ahead.
The original director was supposed to be Aronofsky, which makes more sense.
At one point, it was. I mean, this is one of those things where like it's being directed by committee and the producers. So like,
wait, you mean Kevin Feige is involved?
So at like this movie was going to happen no matter what. And then fully like having been in pre-production at a point where other people had been on to direct it. For a while, it was Aronofsky that then they were like, okay, we're going to make it like an art film. We're going to make it what Logan ended up being. I think this would have been The Wrestler. I think The Wrestler would not have happened.
I have given my beautiful queen, Marissa Tomei, her Oscar.
Well, I mean, I could get into that, but Tori, I think you have more.
Well, it's just that from what I know of Aronofsky is that he's a lot more of a presence in a room and can hold his own in a committee. And so I think that the echoes that Nico are seeing are from Aronofsky's thumbprint on the scale. And then after he departed, they didn't know how to do that without him.
I mean, to me, this cover image really says it all. Like, it's, that's Viper. Like this, it's just
direct to video.
No, it's Fergie right before the piss plate incident.
It really does. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you just made that joke. You gave this an A. Like, I'm about to say D because exactly. Like, don't
Elizabeth Rome on both Law and Order and Angel. It's an A and a D at all times.
I get it. I mean, like, that Mariko is in it, like the story that this is even suggesting that it's capturing is so beautiful, and yet it's also weirdly Orientalist, and no person associated with actually knowing Japanese culture ever contributed to anything about Clan Yoshida.
Well, I do just want to say maybe they think they can get away with Hugh Jackman. Maybe they think they can just kind of ride it and you won't notice.
You spitballing this idea definitely sounds like them spitballing this idea.
Hugh Jackman, Hugh Jin, Japan, you know.
Exactly. But Ellie Galactic is right. That poster is one of those things. It is the whole reason David Mack has one of the best careers in comics of all time.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous poster. I think no matter what, this has to be a D. It's inconsequential. It is a mess. There are cool elements, but there are cool elements in Last Stand too. They just never come to anything. I would maybe, if I had to bump it, if Nico was like, no, you can't, it has to be a higher grade. That grade would be based on the further physical transformation of Hugh Jackman's body, although again I think that maybe takes us down to an F because I will never recover from the unrealistic body expectations this is set for me. I don't know what we're doing here. I do think I'm sticking with D.
I do just want to say though, if we were grading this on feral chest hair, you absolutely have him beat.
Thank you very much. I do think that Jews will always win in that category.
Oh, truly. I want to thank the entirety of that area of the world for literally setting the bar. It's like
we
you guys
sure do kill it
cool.
when it comes to possibly taking us back one step in evolution, just where the chest hair is concerned. So you're welcome.
Dr. Tikeus, I would love for everybody to give in their final rankings on the Wolverine Like I said, it's an A for me, dog. Everybody give their letters. Kevo, you said C to start.
No, I said
Tori,
D.
I'm so sorry, you said D. Tori, did you give it a grade?
I'll give it a C because you sounded persuasive.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
I'm an easy mark.
Very judicious.
I'm going to say something really honest.
Oh God.
I've seen Logan in the background. It's been on while I've been doing things. Actually, I saw Tom say earlier that I think he thought that X-Men Origins is really bad. He can watch it and like break it down. I think that's what he put in the chat earlier. I misread it as he can watch it at an airport and break it down. And I was like, wow, what an interesting way to define that film. If you can even break that movie apart while super distracted. Now, I've only ever seen sections of Logan while super distracted.
Mhm.
And so this was the first time that I really focused on the film and watched it with a dedicated eye. I think as a film, it's an A. I think this is a really good movie. I think Hugh Jackman as a nameless lead in this movie with a brilliant daughter. I mean, Daphne Keane gives a performance like Anna Paquin in The Piano. Like, really, what a stunning idea of what a child's performance can be. Kevo, at one point you described it as she mostly screams, and what an unfortunate thing, because what an unbelievably talented actress. What a person who gives and elevates the film so far. I'm going to have to give this an A, not an S. And I just want to say what holds back the S is there is a sense of almost Joker grimdark that pervades this film, an overwhelming sense of defining the identity of the film by its extremeness that kind of holds back the S for me. Because it goes in that category of over-idealized grimdark films a la the Dark Knight trilogy, there's just some part of me that holds back a little bit. And so it's an A, but I really see how this film is a 310 Yuma. I see how this film is a No Country for Old Men. This is such a beautifully made piece of Americana, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm going S. I was so, I think I was so divorced from the cultural context that a lot of what you're saying never penetrated my enjoyment of it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm going S in, like, if this were every Marvel related property, this would not be an S. You know, if we were ranking every Marvel related property, if this was in with the Avengers movies, with the 1994 Fantastic Four, all of the fantastic films that Marvel has. That was a joke. I like your face there.
No, I got so excited. I was like, oh, we bringing up Harmony from Buffy's theatrical film debut.
Is she in that before she's in Addams Family?
That is her first movie.
Wow, okay.
She is young Sue Storm.
Yeah, no, I remember. I just thought Addams Family Values was first.
It filmed in like 93, and Addams Family Values filmed in 94.
Fair.
She was in the first one too. She was the Girl Scout.
Oh, then I
Thank
might
you.
be wrong.
But yes.
Great catch, Kevo.
Anyway, like, if we were putting this in the grander context of all Marvel live action films, this might just be an A for me. But in the context of the X-Men movies, this is truly one of the best. It is, I think, a really fantastic film. Weirdly, I mean, like, Kevo, you're right. It's a misuse of Daphne Keane insofar as she's such an incredible actor. And she was we just all loved her in The Acolyte. The thing that I really have been so stoked about her casting in and then enjoying the entire performance was she played Lyra in the His Dark Materials show on HBO. That's one of my favorite book series of all time. I think Philip Pullman is an incredible writer. I think she was exactly the right cast for Lyra.
Please don't hit me with a bag of Brando Sando books.
What?
But that's the Golden Compass, right?
That's the Golden Compass.
I love that movie.
Golden Compass, subtle knife.
So good.
Well, the movie is a different beast. Daphne Keane was in the HBO show. I actually
with
do
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Exactly. Who does not ever sing. So you don't have to worry about that.
Lin-Manuel Miranda
That's a
Bailey.
shame.
Weirdly,
Get outta
he is
here.
playing the character that Sam, Mustache Man, other Ron from Parks and Rec, Sam.
Oh
me
yeah, Eagle, whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Lin-Manuel Miranda's character is that guy's character in the movie, which I just think is funny because they're just completely different performers, embodiments of the performance, everything. Anyway, it's Daphne Keane in the show. I think she's phenomenal. I think she's an incredible actor. She's really great in The Acolyte. I'm very concerned watching her grow up because it's making me face my own mortality. But
I didn't realize that was her.
Yeah. Anyway, it's unfortunate because I actually really do think that for what they were doing here, given what we have for source material for Laura in the comics, which is that she is a child prostitute at this age, I think having her... You're muted. You can sass me.
I believe technically at that age, it is a prostitute. Thank you.
That's horrible. Jail, immediately
You
prison.
believe that I came off of mute just for that? I'll see myself
Yes.
out.
So the fact that they went with just screaming feral child, actually, like, there's something about it that I'm like, that is the correct move, even though it's too limiting for Daphne Keane, who's such a good actor.
Let's just not forget, this is less than a year after Stranger Things first dropped.
Yeah, but probably was in development way before that.
Yeah, of course.
And I like Daphne Keane a lot more than I like Millie Bobby Brown. That's all I will say about that. Who would you cast her as in the MCU?
Millie Bobby Brown?
Yeah.
She's
20
because she absolutely knows how to get the headlines, but I don't know that I think she's the world's greatest actress.
No, she sure is not.
I enjoy her in the Enola Holmes movies.
I think she's talented. I don't know. When people say, like, who would you cast someone as in the MCU?
Yeah.
I'm always hard pressed to give a definitive answer. I think I have one answer in the entirety of the universe, and it's I would cast Quinta Brunson as Amanda Waller. And I think other than that, I have literally nothing for the entirety of casting.
They already have the perfect Amanda Waller.
I understand. I am recasting her with Quinta Brunson.
You gotta. That's anyway. This is a whole other. We're gonna talk about this off air. Patrick Stewart's great. Patrick
Stewart just says fuck 38 times per minute.
Yeah, which is maybe a little bit much. It's very much giving Ariana Grande wants you to know she no longer is under contract from Nickelodeon.
Full on Jean-Luc Picard. It is absolutely nuts up in this piece.
Yeah, that is the one thing I really do agree with you on, in terms of, like, this is a little edgelord and edgelord focused in that they're like, can you believe we can say fuck now after you had to sit through all of these X-Men movies where we couldn't? Which is a little silly. Hugh Jackman looks really great as an uglier Wolverine, it's insane that this is the ugliest Wolverine.
So far.
Yeah, we'll see where we go.
This is an S for me. I love when superhero films go genre. It's one of my favorite things in the world. You can never, the fastest way to sell me on a superhero film is to be either like it involves a heist or it's a genre film, and I'm in, because I just think that writers for superhero films should, and usually are, very passionate about the subject. And if you throw that passion into let's also make it very specific to the genre, you get some real great magic. So, yeah. Happy S.
Kevo, if it hadn't been for you saying that this is the Corinthian, I never would have connected Donald Pierce to the Corinthian. Wow, Kevo, what an unbelievable eye you have for connecting like facial structure and voices. Really took my breath away.
And that guy is giving the Corinthian in this performance, which is correct because Donald Pierce would not translate to film. you have to, and again, it's the same thing with Daphne Keane. Like sometimes you just have to completely recreate the character for better or worse. And what this guy it's funny, like this is a proto performance for what he's going to give in Sandman, but it really is so much better than if we had to watch them try and do the real Reavers.
So, Kevo, how did it feel watching a man that eats eyes become a cyborg before your very uneaten eyes?
That is a weird transition, buddy. I think I'm going to go with A on this one. It is a really excellent film, and I can see where it is an S for a lot of people. And the things that make it less than an S for me aren't anything really too exceptionally terrible. But one of them even is, I feel like a lot of people who do give this movie an S, no one here, are the kind of people who would give someone who would give like the Marvels an S. Crap for that. And, there were so many things while we were watching this where we were like, yeah, that's weird. There's this plot hole. This moment was odd. And not because there's anything wrong with this film, but because, yeah, it's a movie. And so yeah, I think I'm going to go with that.
I'm going to be really honest. I have no chill about this next film. I do not have any understanding. This is an S. You cannot come for this movie.
First Class?
First Class is not.
All three of you are nodding like this is not nonsense.
Yeah, we're a first class family
movie. This is an S as a fucking period piece. This is an S as a historiography.
All right, guys, this has been a really fun broadcast. Thank you for watching us.
I think I saw this movie in theaters 3 times. I genuinely think this movie is borderline unimpeachable. I maybe think this is one of my favorite movies ever made. Everything I pitch you as part of our collaborative efforts is in some way super influenced by how much I love First Class. I think First Class taught me how to understand a group dynamic in a way that shows like Lost thought they had down, but struggled to get week after week. When you ask me about what makes a cool group piece, when you ask me what makes a cool movie, when you want to know what I love about The Breakfast Club and Indiana Jones and Star Wars, I can get all of it from this movie. I am not being hyperbolic. This is literally one of my favorite movies of all time.
Why did we not talk about this before?
This is also super nostalgic for me because not only is it like a lovely thing that I share with Kevo in here, but also this is the beginning of peak Tumblr time. From here into the Avengers, that 2011, 2012, A+ Tumblr at its peak, could not escape, had me in a chokehold. So, I know way too much about this movie. I've seen way too many GIFs. It is imprinted deep, deep, deep inside my pop culture cerebellum. So it's an S.
Kevo, just go.
Yep.
I mean, she said it already, did she not? I'm the one who got her into it. And,
Were you already with Nico at this point?
Yes,
they were already
Wolverine
married.
Origins. No, we were not yet married. We had been together.
I don't remember the dates of anything, so I don't remember what came first.
No, you got married the December afterwards.
What?
November, yes. Yep. We had been together for 4.5 years when this movie came out.
No, I was telling people you were my husband. Absolutely.
No, yeah, we were already saying
yeah.
husband.
I mean, ooh.
Jonah in the comments, where are you on this?
Him and I are going back and forth on Drag Race right now. So,
well,
stop! You just started 16.
No, I watched All Stars.
No, you finished All Stars. You just started 16.
I will be starting 16. I just watched the new All Stars.
Live
9.
blog me 16.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take those comments too.
Oh
Um,
goodness.
Okay. Oh God.
Can I finish now?
Oh yeah, please. Sorry.
Thank you.
it.
I really appreciated Tori warming up the fact that this was peak Tumblr era. For me, it is always the Slash, and this pairing absolutely was something that was very much in my wheelhouse. It is absolutely nonsense in the basis of the comics, but I have an entire conspiracy theory about how this Slash pair is the basis for Red, White, and Royal Blue. So at me on socials, and we can talk about that. No, I really appreciate what Nico and agree with what Nico said in terms of giving group dynamic, giving youthful energy, and capturing it in such a way that it was able to feel timeless because it wasn't now anymore. It was the 1960s. I really feel like it got a lot of that very well for a first film. Even if a lot of the characters they use are bizarre and used bizarrely, and of course, obviously, it's January Jones as Emma Frost, so that was bizarre.
I
But,
had that bra. I had that bra already
I
when
still
I went
have
to
that
see
bra.
it. When I went to see it, it's a very specific
Right.
Victoria's Secret bra that added 2 cup sizes, and I had it in 5 colors.
You are.
I mean, and I'm even passing the torch to you with yes, Xavier and Mystique as secret foster siblings from childhood. What was this movie?
That
Please
actually is
take
like
it
one of
away.
the parts I like better.
But just as an example of,
it's-
I don't even know what
nonsense.
this movie is.
no,
nobody's,
it's not nonsense. It is absolutely.
No,
When someone once said to me, "What would you do if somebody said to you, you could ultimate the X-Men universe?" I said, I would make Charles and Mystique have founded the X-Men together.
well, that's
Because there are no two better visions for mutant kind.
I don't disagree, but still, it's just
Ugh.
it's kind of out of nowhere, especially
because
because
reason it's an S.
I think at this point we are right about to get to that they secretly bang a lot, and
Yep.
she's his wife.
Worst
and,
thing that ever happened.
worst, and
ever,
they have
ever.
a stupid baby. Also, just if you're gonna
What?
keep showing the shot, her forehead alone.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
Fine. Some of us don't have beautiful,
fine.
beautiful locks. Kevo, what were you saying?
No, the forehead is a crime. He's not wrong.
Kevin Bacon. Kevin
Hilarious.
Bacon, you guys.
Disagree.
Don't.
I'm down for all of it.
He
all
is
of
the
it.
worst
Where is
Sebastian
Bacon?
Shaw of all time.
There he is.
This movie took me from Magneto has some good points to I'm on his side.
That's
so
correct.
should
Okay.
Charles. He's an idiot for not.
That's the one.
And I blame both of them for the fall of the entire planet, probably eventually.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
feel terrible, but like, while I tend to think like, ugh, do we need more like random white guys and stuff? These two gentlemen are so uniquely talented, are so uniquely capable in this particular film. I probably think, and I feel so bad, but because this was my first introduction to both of them, I tend to not remember which one is which, but I remember
No.
that James McAvoy
No,
is Magneto.
You saw the
No.
Mr. Tumnus movie. Come on.
Other way.
I don't think he did.
You didn't see Tilda
He
Swinton
definitely
Lion Witch in the
didn't see-
Wardrobe?
Oh my
Woman.
god, the dumb lion movie? Do you know me? I avoid anything with super Christian overtures. That's not for me.
Yeah,
That would
Okay.
bore me to
Well,
pieces.
James McAvoy is Mr. Tumnus, and I think that also gave a lot of people some issues in the bedroom that I don't want to talk about on this show.
No, for me, that particular thing,
I'm
and
learning
you'll
that.
understand this, is the House of M era Old Spice ad centaur.
Yes, yeah, that's.
Fucked
I mean,
me up. I've
Mr.
never recovered.
Mr. Tumnus is in that same vein and was before, so I'm going to give James McAvoy credit
Okay.
for that.
But then,
But-
This
Put
was-
her back on and did a Mr. Tumnus sketch on SNL a few years
Yeah.
ago.
what's
Yeah.
the name of
Good
Magneto?
for him.
This is
Fassbender.
This is
Yeah.
Michael Fassbender, who
He-
himself is rather problematic, but can swing his dingaling like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
No,
he's
trust me,
got
I
that
would
ding
believe
ding
it.
dong.
But the other thing about him that is specifically important is he plays a man I could see aging into
Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen, and it's gonna sound so dumb.
Yeah.
Please, no one laugh at me, but like, Chanel. Chanel, her transformation from season 1 to All Stars 1 to All Stars 9. Oh my God, an incredibly angry person who has every right to be angry. She watched everyone she loved die in the AIDS crisis. She watched queens be kicked and spit on, and
Not that old.
Actually,
She's pretty old.
She's actually that old, dude. And the AIDS crisis in LA kind of went till 98. And it was New York that maybe tried to pretend it was cleaned up and protected and beautiful for gay people. But like, Chanel,
Guys,
guys,
Chad Michaels is
She's so
53.
great.
Chanel is 45. I just like I'm sure she saw people die in the AIDS crisis, but I'm just
well,
saying.
but
Like,
the thing is that what
She
he's,
grew up with
I'm
that
sure
cloud.
he's, grew up with it, and
Thank
also
you.
like people were still dying because they
Yes.
couldn't afford the drugs and things way into the aughts.
yeah, I mean, like we are that age too. Like
Yeah.
know.
Well, and so I think that one of the things that Michael Fassbender, thank you for reminding me, everybody, 3 cheers for Michael Fassbender. Sorry for forgetting your name, dude.
3 cheers for keeping Nico on track with this.
Yes.
Michael Fassbender specifically channels a unique kind of, I want to say queer rage, but I'm sure it's also the same thing as in terms of seeing it manifested in film for all audiences. It's the same thing as any minority rage manifested on screen. I finally have the opportunity to protect people like me, and that's what I want to do. And I think I could see that genuinely growing into a softened Ian McKellen in the first 3 films.
And like I'm not admonishing you when I say this, but like the thing to of course keep in mind with Magneto is that it is initially and always most importantly Jewish rage.
Jewish rage.
It is the
course.
rage of being the survivor of a genocide. And I do think I will give the Fassbender McAvoy series a lot of credit for it is unequivocally that Magneto is a survivor of the Holocaust, and that is, his trauma from that and his refusal to ever let that happen again is what forms his militancy. But I think there is really a point from there on out, and for audiences especially who can always be aware that the Holocaust happened and should never happen again, but who often, particularly if they're not Jewish and aren't raised with kind of like a personal connection to it, often just don't necessarily feel that connection. Writing and acting and connecting it to queer rage and connecting queer rage to mutant rage, and that feeling of like, I have found another like me, and we are kind of holding on to each other like a life raft. And then where do we go from here? I will give them credit for all of that. I think it comes out better in Days of Future Past because I don't think the two of them are quite there yet. And I think anchoring with McKellen and Patrick Stewart really helps. I think, unfortunately, Apocalypse really could have given them a shot. And it's just such a bad movie that it doesn't. Oh God, Banshee's terrible in this. Zoe Kravitz is great, but Angel is such a weird character, and Zoe Kravitz actually isn't great. Darwin is a weird character, and then literally his power is that he can't die and they kill him. Azazel is terrible.
Hold on.
No, I won't. Azazel's
I want to be
terrible.
very clear with you. This Azazel is miles better than the comic Azazel, and there is literally no way you can convince me
That
of
bar is beneath the Earth's crust.
You are
so-
comparing the villains of a Burger King Kids Club comic featuring the Burger King Kids Club starring WizKid to Falstaff.
Moira McTaggart is terrible.
Hold on, Kevo, what was that?
These two bang and make Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Although no longer. That's no longer the case.
That is
right.
Bless.
Yeah.
At the time, allegedly.
She morphs some testes, and God, I can't wait till we get Destiny in a movie. Nicholas Hoult isn't good in this.
No,
the Beast, The Beast
I-
Beast look isn't good.
That's-
The Beast look isn't good, but Nicholas Hoult gives as a
Performance.
tall nerd who wanted people to think he was more than just smart and couldn't understand why everybody was like, "You're so smart." I think Nicholas Hoult really channeled what I felt like. I can understand that you're sneering because you've always been beautiful and that's your burden to bear. But some of us are weird looking.
I will
and,
be emailing you some photos in a moment.
blessed, but you've always had that
do it,
jawline,
do it.
sir.
Covered in some chunky chunkins. Yeah, no, nobody's really great in this. Jennifer Lawrence isn't good in any of them. I'm sorry. Jennifer Lawrence isn't good. Rose Byrne, wrong casting. January Jones, wrong cast. Yeah. No, this is definitely. Oh, and Havoc's not good either.
Hold on. I don't care if Jennifer Lawrence is being cast as a cement mixer. She's never the wrong casting.
Oh my God,
unless it's
she's
Jennifer
always the wrong
Lawrence as a real
casting.
person.
Here's the
Jennifer Lawrence
thing.
as a real person upsets me pretty terribly. She says things that, like, if I saw her in, I would have.
Oh, this is because you like
Katniss
Katniss Everdeen. This is because you like the Hunger Games movies.
I
No,
think Hunger Games
she's great
movies
in that.
are
Yes,
all
she is.
terrible.
She is she is the correct casting in that. She is not good in a lot of other stuff. Most other things.
Nope. Katniss has never made a mistake. Katniss has never made a mistake. A day
No,
in her
She
life.
made a
was
lot of
definitely the
mistakes,
correct casting
that's
for
the
that
point.
movie with Chris Pratt because that was a bad movie and they're both bad people. Correct
Katniss
casting
is
for
bad.
Mother, again, see above, bad movie, bad people. I could go on. This is
Thank you. Mother is the name of Katniss Hereditary. I can
Yes,
never
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
the
And
name of
perfect
that
description.
Call her
Perfect
mother.
description. You guys upset me. I'm gonna give this a C.
That's
I have
still
to
not
stress
a-
that we
Nobody's
lost-
perfect.
We lost literally 25 minutes to TK's horror, leading to some of the best conversations we've ever had on this show.
Yeah, let's pick it up. This is
I
got
can't
dinner
wait. Days of Future
I-
Past. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kevin. Did you not give your final grade?
No,
No,
you all gave it S's.
Yeah.
I let you
I
all
just
speak
wanted to
first.
say, look, I don't necessarily think Jennifer Lawrence is amazing in this. I don't necessarily think anyone is always amazing in this. These, based on the original trilogy, aren't movies to act amazingly in, and I accept that about them. So, yeah. Except
Yeah.
for maybe this one. I don't know.
I think-
No.
Yeah.
Tori, you
I
go
think-
first because wisdom.
Well, I was just gonna say that I feel like First Class is really the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie that should have turned into a TV show. But Days of Future Past, I mostly remember for being very confusing and
Wait, are you
I
about to
do.
give Days of Future Past a lower grade than First Class?
Oh, you
Oh,
mean this B of a
100%.
movie?
yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah, this one is
This-
a B for me. Yeah, this is my
no,
first.
other than
B.
Stryker
Uh,
giving me the boner of a lifetime, this is a
Oh my
B
god,
of a movie.
so hot.
This is when my brain started to turn against the gal who plays the Betsy, not Betsy.
Yeah, Betsy, not Betsy. I'm on the
Psylocke.
Daily Show. I'm so funny.
Olivia
Oh,
Wilde?
no.
No, it's
Olivia
not
Munn.
Olivia Munn.
She's not in this one. She's in.
The
The
next
next
one.
one?
No, but I'm fine
Oh.
with turning on her here.
No, this is where she's still in newsroom here. We still love her here. Be nice.
Yeah, this is
Don't
this is
call me
after her
girl,
couples.
Charles
And-
Xavier,
yeah.
sir.
And she did leave Aaron Rodgers eventually, so it's fine.
Yeah, but then she got with John Mulaney. So
Hold on. Hold on. Ali Galactic, I'm going to get booed so hard in the next 10 seconds, but I will not hear anybody give Natalie Portman anything but an S+.
No,
plus in any film she's
Allie
ever
is
been in.
relating to Natalie Portman here.
So I don't want you to feel that sad because that's the saddest I've ever seen someone look in a movie. I just want you to know that I believe in you. I think you are a beautiful person, and even
Wow,
if we
I love
have
that
different
she gets
opinions-
all this sympathy for hating your terrible rankings, but I'm just stuck out here, hung to dry.
I'm gonna get to say nice things to you in person. This has to be on air.
Ooh. Wait, okay, so I know you've got one more S in a Deadpool film at least. Okay, you have a second S. All right, hold on. Oh, is it a show?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, Tori and Kevin, we're gonna do the same format for this one because we're all completely out of sync now, and I'm just disgusted with the three of you.
No, we are Chris Kirkpatrick, JC Chazé, Justin. No, Justin's been kicked out. Lance.
You guys are the three hot members of 98 Degrees, and I'm the one ugly one. Why is he there?
Well, because he's the base, and you can't pick your bases.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Tori,
so,
Kevo, take it
so
away.
obviously I mix this one up with X-Men Apocalypse all the time, but they're basically the same movie. So, like they're like the two-parter, right? Like that's how they go together. It was like we got Days of Future Past, and then it was like, and next summer we'll finish this whole story up.
I mean, yes and no, because this has the flash forward. Like this has a whole other thing that Apocalypse doesn't have. Which I do think, like, I won't try too hard to convince anybody to grade this higher, but like that is a significant portion of the movie is the fact that it's finally connecting. Well, I shouldn't even say finally because it's only been one movie previous that we've done something else, but like we are connecting the timeline that we created with the original trilogy to what is clearly this new one that they want to make.
Oh, is this the same step as bargaining? Is this the same film in the steps as bargaining? Because it sounds like
kick you in the teeth.
I feel like I get where Tori is coming from because I feel like these middle films, this is the one where like the bad guy is kind of a bunch of different dominoes, but really the focus is all of these cameos and different characters in the past and future. And then the next one is the one that is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie where a bunch of teenagers fight the giant purple guy. And there's a team of bad guy mutants that eventually become good guy mutants. But like the overall tone and story of everything going on in their lives, it kind of finishes and resets at the end of every movie. And I feel like this movie was the first one where I started to suspect this would happen with the fact that Nicholas Hoult, for what becomes a pattern, finds a way to temporarily cure himself of being furry because it's Nicholas Hoult. We need to be able to look at him. And then
it's also we don't want to spend the money on the makeup. It's not even so much Nicholas Hoult. It is absolutely we don't want to spend the money on the makeup.
I think it's both, though.
And also, there's the third component of they don't want to upset all of the nifty.org readers and not have enough Nicholas Hoult canon fodder for them.
Well, and at least we got a bunch of scenes of him and Hugh Jackman just positively mauling each other on a staircase to keep those communities running.
Kevo, how did all that hairy man work for you?
I think I'll ultimately go with an A. I feel like I would make this one more than the next one. Like the cameos were good, and like I said, this is just, it became a series. I didn't realize, or I keep forgetting, I guess, because, I'm getting old, but I always forget that this really spanned the entire decade of the 2010s. And so the fact that we just came to expect this X-Men period piece every few years, and it was just this, franchise that we knew was just going to keep going for a little while. It was fun, and I feel like this one stands up a little bit better than the next one.
I agree. Kevo is correct. Apocalypse bad. C. Bad movie.
Well,
bad.
We're gonna get to grading that one in a second. I think this is an S.
For it.
It's definitely an A. I don't know what any of you guys are talking about.
So I'm actually getting, like, I'm not trying to be
to be a thing. It's funny, but what's your serious question?
I'm curious about your relationship with the element of tropism.
Yeah.
One of the things that Days of Future Past sought to do was it sought to be tropist about time travel without being tropist about time travel the way that Days of Future Past, any iteration, has ever been. If anything, this was closest to the animated series iteration, but beyond that, this kind of fell a little bit closer to something in maybe the Terminator universe than the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
What about it makes it an S or A X-Men film for you when so much of the supporting value is outside of the X-Men universe?
Well, I don't agree that so much of the sporting value is outside the X-Men universe. I hear what you're saying. So it's weird because like Days of Future Past, the comic, is so early on that it's setting a lot of the
143 out of 141, 142 out of 700.
Yeah, well, but it's early on even in sci-fi cultural storytelling when it comes to time travel stories. So like it is defining a lot of the tropes. And I actually do give this movie credit for going in a slightly different direction for how the time travel would work. Although it's sort of nonsense and it's too complicated. And so I think maybe where I'm going with A. But like I said, a huge thing for me is I do think both Charles and Eric's are really good and have incredible chemistry together. And to me, they are gay cats who are gay. They're a gay couple. And like the tender moment where Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen know they are about to die and they just share a loving moment is really beautiful, and it chokes me up every time. But then like when you contrast that to McAvoy and Fassbender yelling at each other on the plane, I don't know, they both just have fantastic chemistry and really capture the wildly different times that the men find themselves in. I hate Jennifer Lawrence the least in this one. Again, with Hugh Jackman, it's like an A+++ for the body work, but also an F because you've ruined my life.
Yeah, no, really, he explains why I have felt like not quite a man since I'm like 24 years old. Jesus.
Truly screw you, but also I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
The beginning scene with the random X-Men I thought was just kind of a treat, like in a really fun way. I don't know, I think they nailed it. Fan Bingbing, insane casting for Blink.
So good.
Completely only beat by the incredible Jamie Chung as Blink in The Gifted. Can't wait to get to that in a second. I don't know, I loved this movie. I had so much fun with this movie. I hate Evan Peters, but I loved him in this.
I love him in NCOC. Let me say that.
Yeah. Very true. Is it? It's not Boo Boo Stewart, right?
No, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
it is the unbelievably talented, incredible dancer.
I love Jay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just a great cast all around, and I do. The road cut. I can't. I really love the scenes that with Anna. I love adding Anna Paquin back into the movie, but then the fact that it works completely fine without her. I don't know. I guess maybe that's a really good case for why this has to be an A and not an S. But I do love the road cut. I don't know. I just really like this movie. I think it's a really, really fantastic movie.
Counterpoint. That's part of what makes it an S. The fact that you can do that to the film.
Well, I do. I love modular pieces. I love if you literally can just pull a component out and your couch still works. I think that's fantastic.
Triple counterpoint.
What?
This could be from Magic Mike Zero, Michael in the 80s with a mustache. And I hate this still in that regard.
That's a weird thing to say. Also, if they ever made that Channing Tatum Gambit movie, that would have worked even better. So I don't know. Road cut S+, Tasty Cake, yes.
Tasty Cake, just to remind you, Ali Galactic completely agrees with you and thinks that The Road Cut is one of the finest comic book movies ever made. So you are in great company.
Yeah. Yeah. That guy who plays Toad is so weird looking.
Ray Park?
It's not Ray Park in this movie.
Oh, it's not in this one?
No. There he is next to Dinklage. What a weirdo. I hate that kid who plays Havoc.
I rarely give these films like, oh wow, that was thoughtful, but that Peter Dinklage doesn't play someone like Toad, who is a physically crouched person, and instead plays a powerful, incredible character. A character who affects policy, a character who was treated not by the caliber of his height, but instead by the power of his performance. This is one of the ways in which this is maybe a better film.
Yeah. There's a lot that could have been done negatively, and I think even more positively, with Trask as a little person, as like what in our society we treat like a mutant. But I thought, given that they didn't have time to put Rogue in the movie, it was probably smart not to try and play on those relationships, and instead just to let Peter Dinklage do good acting and just be like, this is just another person who happens to have a physical difference from the rest of the world, but who wants to do some murder.
Well, and one of the things that I want to say is that Peter Dinklage fits into the X-Men universe so beautifully because it's a universe that doesn't ever judge characters by looking visually different in terms of being able to fit into the film.
Yeah.
If we were watching Scream and there was a little person ghost face and there was only one little person in the film, we would not spend the movie being unsure who Ghostface was.
Yeah.
But there is a real beauty to a movie franchise like X-Men saying we have room for fictional visual differences. And Kevo, I swear to God that you turned off the banner just to shame me is not acceptable.
But more importantly, what do you think about Apocalypse?
I already gave it a C.
I know.
What do you give it?
I also give it a C, and it's only not getting a D because we have Dark Phoenix and New Mutants to talk about.
They need D's too.
Yes, we need to save the D. It's so weird that they actually had a correct character design for Apocalypse, and they went with Ivan Ooze anyway. It turned out that this angel is gay, so I just congrats to him. Or maybe he's not. I don't know, but he's. If you Google him, he's kissing a boy a lot.
Wait, Ben Foster's gay? All of my dream. Oh.
No, his name is Ben Hardy, I think. Not Ben Foster. Fantastic face tattoos, by the way. Don't know how that helps make him a horseman of apocalypse, but here we are. I give Olivia Munn so much credit for her enthusiasm for this role.
I love when she cut the painting in half.
She trained...
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh on her.
She trained like she was going to be the star of a martial arts franchise that went on for the next decade. And she is in this movie for 3 minutes, and it required not a single day at the gym, let alone. And it's just I have more footage of her training to be in this movie than I have of her in the movie, and I love her so much for that. Not for much else after.
Of her cutting paintings in half than being in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not joking. Is the thing? It happened.
Third time around, the Evan Peters shtick is starting to get stale. They can't write Jean for Sophie Turner. Alexandra Shipp is a phenomenal casting for Storm. They can't write Storm. Ty Sheridan's... I want to give the Roz Matthews... Sam, you have the weirdest mouth. You overcome so much with your crooked nipples. Speech to Ty Sheridan about being Cyclops. Because that is... I see so much of Ty Sheridan in...
They're like this, but he's only supposed to have one.
Exactly. Fassbender and McAvoy don't do anything in this movie, so they don't get to have their chemistry. What is Fassbender's face in this poster?
No, I genuinely feel like Xavier is James McAvoy. They said
Yeah.
Fassbender is Magneto.
Fassbender. Yeah.
I genuinely believe that James McAvoy in this film, I don't know. I think they gave him 3 weeks with the script. He just does not even fit into his scenes here. This is a very flat tonal movie.
Yeah, really flat. And it's weird too because this has what should be one of the best scenes in any of them, and it's like it's good, but there's something so off about it. And it's when it's at the climax of the film when Jean takes on the Phoenix Raptor for the first time, and James McAvoy is yelling at her, and it's exactly as you said, Nico. Like, he is screaming at the top of his lungs. The only time I've heard him act with that much like force is when he's Morpheus in the Sandman audio drama. James McAvoy is, and he really he chews the scenery in that because he doesn't have to face act. It's all just yelling into a microphone. And I see so much of that in this apocalypse climax scene, and yet it's like he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's totally flat because it's like he only had a couple days with the script before they had him in there. I don't know. There's something so off about every aspect of this movie. All that said, it's still like entertaining enough in a way that Dark Phoenix is not, that's a D and this is a C.
To me, what felt off about that sequence specifically was just how I felt drawn it was, which is how I sort of feel about them doing the concept of the Phoenix like this and then pulling back and then immediately coming back to it in the next movie and then doing what they did there. Like, it just feels like the pacing and the beats of what they were doing with it were completely off. And I when we studied this, I swear I must have it in my notes somewhere. I probably timed how long that scene was of him screaming, and it was probably like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Because it was just way weirdly shot, and
it relies entirely on the visual of her no longer walking on flat ground or on like actual ground, but rather like using her telekinesis to just walk on air, which is just not a big enough reveal. And the scene takes so long because you're watching her plod one step after the other from being on an actual piece of metal to just being in the air, and it's like that's just not a good enough reveal. I knew that's where we were going.
Yes, exactly. Again, and it's so drawn out that you're just standing there like, okay, but now I have to leave, and I'm waiting for this movie to end.
Yeah.
Tori, do you have any extreme feelings any which way or the other for Apocalypse leading into Dark Phoenix?
It's just that it's so interesting because I gave both this and Future Past a B grade because in comparison to the greatness that is First Class and the not greatness that is Dark Phoenix, I was like, they're in the middle. And that's sort of kind of how I felt about it the whole time, is that I was just like, they're in the middle. It's fine. They make up most of my B rankings.
All right. Well, then you are much kinder about Dark Phoenix than I am.
Dark Phoenix is a terrible movie.
Oh, thank God. I think you said, you mean this and Days of Future Past?
Yeah.
The both. I am so sorry. Okay. I did this to someone in person. We inexplicably walked into the same Dark Phoenix showing as Cage Club owner Joey. And Joey is probably one of the 5 people whose movie opinions I care about the most. 2 of the people on this panel know how I revere that man. He taught me how to podcast. He taught me how to run a network. He taught me how to be a good leader, truly. And I swear to God, this movie came out the year before COVID, and I was still the worst thing that happened to him in any 2-year period because the way I was during this film in theaters was inhuman. I want to say I don't think I was wrong. All said and done, I hate this movie. Vuk's name is said as many times as her character appears in comics. That is twice.
And it's also not who she's playing.
She's evidently playing Lalandra, and then is renamed Vuk when they decide they are Skrulls, not Shi'ar. And
she, honestly, for me, is the worst part of the film. And if it wasn't for her, it would just be a very, very, very mediocre film. But I feel like her character and the villain of her is part of what hugely brings it down for me. And partly why, like what Nico said, how many times is her name even said in this movie? Who even is she? What even is any of this?
It's just so bad. I give it an outright D, and it has nothing to do with Sophie Turner's great performance, nothing to do with everybody trying their best, except perhaps Simon Kinberg, who I don't think poorly of. But I think if somebody said to me, Nico, what Shakespeare work should you adapt? I would not look in their eyes and say, I think I should make Nicus Andronicus. I would not say that. So why he keeps doing this dark Simon Kinberg saga thing, I don't know. But this is very clearly Simon Kinberg's Achilles heel. TK, Tori, how do you guys feel about what I think really is the death knell of the Fox universe that made them say, sell it to Disney, get it away from us?
So as someone who hasn't really interacted with the Phoenix story in comic form and really only remembers it from the 90s cartoon and Nico's unending descriptions,
That is correct.
I find I'm always very confused about how old Jean Grey is supposed to be when this happens. And I'm under the impression that Sophie Turner is playing younger in this film. Like, it feels like she's, I don't know. To me, it always just felt like she was secretly 16 and no one wanted to talk about it. And
canonically, she can't be younger than like 24.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like she could even be in her mid 30s because this is 90s, Apocalypse was 80s, Days of Future Past is 70s, and she's in Days of Future Past.
Right.
So at least
this
10
can't
years.
be Famke Janssen.
Right.
Although
this is no fancy Cam Jansen.
I was gonna say
mean,
this is the weird point where like the Sophie Turner should start turning into Famke Janssen.
Right.
Famke Janssen in the first movie is probably supposed to be the age around in here that this is happening.
It actually does kind of work, except for it doesn't work at all.
Right. And so I don't know. I get where they were going. I've never been that crazy about Sophie Turner as an actress. I find her very pretty. I find that she can do some things well. I feel like this was beyond her capabilities to do well in a way that everyone wanted. I imagine people wanted Sophie Turner to have the Hugh Jackman turn at this kind of character. And when it didn't happen, I think the world caught a plague and said, I guess we're done.
I mean, the thing was, we had seen her at this point kill it as Sansa.
Right.
And Sansa is, unless George R.R. Martin is doing everything on all cylinders and focusing on Sansa, she is such a victim.
Yep.
And so many, like the Benioff and Weiss just really, I thought they did okay by the character, but even still, she is just exposed to so much where she is passive. And it's only at the very end that she's really able, that she's going to grow into an incredible person if she survives.
Right.
But you don't know that she's going to survive. She's constantly victimized. And then in the last season, she very quickly becomes
Steps the fuck up, Queen of the North,
she
etc.
very quickly becomes Queen of the North, and she's so badass, and Sophie Turner is absolutely killing it. And timing wise, I think we all just thought, okay, she was great in Days of Future Past, but that was just like a quick cameo. She's really fun in Apocalypse,
at least memorable for her significance and her scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then in Dark Phoenix, it's like, okay, this is her time to shine. This is
a month off of Game of Thrones ending.
This is like, this is where it's exactly as you said. Like, Jean is one of those ex-women who is up there with Wolverine. Sophie Turner is one of those actors who we love because of this really memeable show she's on. This is her time. And then it's just written horribly.
Wow, she had a terrible 2019, didn't she?
Yeah.
Game of Thrones,
bad.
this, whatever Jonas she married.
Yep. She's just, I think 2019 is when she's like, shit, I'm stuck with this guy.
Yep. She married Kate by the Ocean. She knew what she was doing.
She got the cat one.
Cake by the Ocean is a Zane, wasn't it?
No, it is him. I really like her performance in this. For me, the bigger problem is its attempt at adapting a not even complicated story so much as strange story, and I feel like they decided not to go full weird bird person turning into a giant god that eats a galaxy. So, like, and I don't mean Phoenix bird person, I mean Lilandra and those bird people. I mean, like, they didn't want to go all of the weirdness of Phoenix, so it ended up staying very grounded and earth-based the way that the first one was. And I feel like if you weren't going to just go and do the whole thing, then just don't do it. Like, at a certain point, like, they're going to say, oh, we're going to do it again, and it's going to be another disappointment, I fear. And 3 strikes and you're out.
I think that's a really great way to look at it. You know, I do feel personally victimized by Regina George and her endless attempts to reinvent the Phoenix saga. You know, we saw one in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes animated series, where it's Iron Man in the original animated series. The Phoenix is just like obsessed with love or something. I don't know. It's just all over the place. This is one of those stories that it's not that I think you can't adapt it. I remember getting into a comment thread where I was like, of course, Storm never adapts well. There's 1,000 issues. How can you ever hope to adapt that? And somebody was like, you're an idiot. Celie from The Color Purple is genius, and she doesn't have thousands of issues. You're a fool. Okay. But what I want to remind everyone is Celie exists within the confines of The Color Purple, and then all of the ways we attach the humanity to this character. But with a character like Jean, there are 800 individual issues, and any one of them you might have attached any significant element of humanity to. And this idea that you could hope to encapsulate the humanity and the godhood and the tragedy, it's just a lot to get into one film, no matter how great the actress or no matter how terrific the cast and perhaps the filmmakers.
Or how many times you try.
Yeah, I think ultimately, Kevo, you know, when we did our Dark Phoenix project, HTML 39 through 43, which has been linked in the chat, we were hoping for something greater than this was ever able to give, and it ultimately did disappoint.
I missed that show.
Oh, HTML?
Yeah. Husband's Talking
cool.
More or Less. You can find it now where podcasts are available.
Initially financed by Joey. Hey, thanks, Joey. So,
and we made him regret that. Ultimately, this was a very weird little tetralogy. The fact that it was a period piece was very strange. The fact that it was a moving period piece over multiple decades was very strange. But, it was fun. It was interesting. And the pin that I wanted to pull back to, not to jump movies too quick, but the thing I wanted to point to was the cameo in Deadpool 2 of the X-Men that can't possibly exist at the same time based on where they would have been at any point, whether it was Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix. Just in terms of, maybe it's just the fun and silliness of Deadpool, or maybe it's these timelines were always effed.
Well, no matter which one it is, I do think that is a great transition point. I have to give Deadpool an A. I kind of am Deadpool. It's just sort of like, no, and I see but like, I sort of am just always sort of sitting there with way too many one-liners, and people are kind of like, okay, you don't need to say every single thing you think. And at the same time, there is sort of like a childlike simplicity to me. And there is a sort of like, people say to me, you give such low bro energy. People 30 years younger than me have said to me, you give low bro energy. And so I really get Deadpool. He gives big low bro energy. And that's kind of like, I don't know, that's kind of the heart of the character. He's just that plus assassin and katanas and guns. And I really get this character. I even get the sort of like generically Ryan Reynolds reinterpretation of the character for film. But what I mostly am grateful to the film adaptation for doing is putting a muzzle on the ugliest, most horrible, most problematic, misogynistic, genuinely explicit, bordering on rape things that Deadpool did in those earliest adventures. Truly heinous, keeping a woman chained to a wall and implicitly sexually torturing her. These are things that never fit this character as a hero to little kids. And Ryan Reynolds' reinterpretation of the character, despite being full of look at my bulge and I'm saying the word fuck over and over again, somehow pushed this character more toward a family-friendly place, and I'm genuinely glad for it. So I have to give this movie an A, and just to kind of set this conversation going, I'm going to give the next movie a B. It's a lot of good memes, but it's not really a film. It would have been a great 4-part miniseries on Disney Plus, but it's certainly not a single movie. What's his name looks so fucking hot. He's the second hottest Cable here.
Josh Brolin.
Thank you, Josh Brolin.
For me, who didn't grow up with much Deadpool at all, I was very surprised to find out that this was not comics accurate, and was very sad to find out that if I wanted to know more, I would be very, very, very upset very quickly. So I'm very happy that we get this. I'm very happy that it has affected how the comics are approached. I'm glad that we get things like Ali Wong's version of Deadpool. I'm glad that we have a character where in the comics they're like, yeah, they're pansexual, like all these kinds of things. I think it's great. And so this is an S for me. The second one is an A for me, just because it has less of what's her face from Firefly.
Marina Baccarin.
Love her. Love her.
Mrs. Ben McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
I also love Ben McKenzie's beard, and one of the reasons that I do is because I'm joking. It's just there were so many Ben McKenzie's fanny pack jokes for so long.
And the Ugg boots. Don't forget the Ugg boots. What was yours again? Was it AB?
I was an S and an A, yeah.
Tori was SA, I was AB.
I'm probably leaning toward AB with you. Teak, you're dancing. What do you got?
I am. I'm just really grim into ashes. Thanks.
I get it.
So I feel I should point out bad origins for Deadpool, but 97 Joe Kelly breaks the fourth wall with him for the first time, and 2012.
Oh, is this a pro Joe Kelly podcast? Oh,
I mean, didn't we already establish that when we did our we'll be getting into that more on our Wednesday comics coverage as the year goes on. Spider-Man can't get worse, so Joe Kelly breaks the fourth wall with Deadpool in 97. By 2012, Brian Posehn is really taking the character to like almost, not even almost, too bad comedy territory. This is like where we start really getting into deep chimichanga. Like this is really
He's 17
humor
boys.
for boys a lot of the time, like humor for middle school aged boys. But in between 97 and 2016, a lot of people write Deadpool with a variety of humors and with a more broad understanding. I do feel like it tends towards the juvenile a lot of the time, but we do have almost 20 years of established Deadpool is silly canon versus 6 from 1991 to 97, in which he is
6
just
from Blossom.
Thank you. In which he is
Hold
just
on.
a
No,
rapey assassin.
You do not get to blow past a 6 from Blossom reference when there is a
I'm
short
sorry.
making fun of me for my number of 6 from Blossom references on this show.
I didn't know
Everybody
he'd do
pay
this.
up.
I'm sorry.
That's not fair.
There were 2 shows we weren't allowed to watch as kids, and they were The Simpsons and Blossom.
Lord.
Yeah.
Growing up, my parents were just so relieved that I had Blossom to channel so many of my feelings through.
That makes sense.
So ultimately, Ryan Reynolds, I think, is actually just kind of riding the ship a little bit with Deadpool and figuring out how to capitalize on the middle school boy humor while also acknowledging that the rest of us are not middle school boys and that we can find things funny. For me, I'll tell you right now, I'm going AS. I think everything from Deadpool 1 evolves into... I do hear Nico's criticism, and I don't think it's wrong. It just didn't not... It worked for me in Deadpool 2, that it is a little bit more of a smorgasbord than it is... I think you're right. Ultimately, it would be like an S+ for me if it was a 4-parter Disney Plus series. And I think they do really try and pack a lot in, some of which, like, I don't know. I think the way they do it, I am giving it a pass, but like the X-Men thing is a really good example. I give that a pass. I do think it was just funny and cute, but it also does, like, if you're like, that stopped me in my tracks and made the movie a little weird, I'm not going to be like, well, you're wrong for feeling that way. And I'm not saying that's what you said in particular. But there's just a lot of things like that where, like, even the X-Force scene I think is funny and fun, but it also does raise a lot of questions about, like, okay, are we doing X-Force?
Well,
and
what did you think about Shatterstar being named Rusty when Rusty Firefist was already in the movie? Firefist's name is Rusty.
Yeah.
And then they named him Russell, and they named Godriva 7 or Benjamin Russell Rusty? He's Russell, and Russell is Rusty.
Yeah, there were things like that where I'm just like, I don't even know why, like, I don't even know what the point was. I would have called him Gavidra. I would have just, like, because I think that the funnier joke there is, why is your name Gavidra 7? And yeah, I don't know. Yukio, amazing. Negasonic Teenage Warhead, amazing. Again, that's not Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I don't know what we're doing here, but I do love that actor and that character in the movie. Zazie Beetz, phenomenal. James Brolin, just the most fuckable old man.
Oh my god. You have complications from looking at Wolverine.
Yeah, this is another one for sure. This is who I am trying to age into.
I think part of what the thing is with these movies is that Deadpool is very much the Guardians of the Galaxy of this era of X-Men movies.
Yes,
And
although I hate Guardians of the
so
Galaxy, so that's tough, but yes.
this is very much a lot of just building on what was great about the first one.
Yeah.
I think part of what I think is the problem with this movie for me, though, is this really was the poster that was all over everything. And, like, I don't get this trio being on the poster for this movie. That is so weird. And it's not that I didn't enjoy a lot of the ride that we were on, but I think, to, again, take it back to Nico's point, a series might have made more sense just because of, like, we were watching this in timing for when we got to what the actual plot of the movie was that we understood as audience members. It was a lot.
So, do we have double votes in on Deadpool and Deadpool 2 across the board?
I believe so.
All right. Well, that brings us to our first TV show and my absolute next S. I think Legion is a rare moment for television. I think Legion asked one of the greatest actresses of her era ever, Jean Smart, who could have been the greatest actress of the 1930s, the 1950s, the 1970s. She has chosen to be one of the greatest actresses of now, whether you love her from Designing Women, her Emmy-winning multiple turn in Frasier, her unbelievable and unforgettable turns in things like 24 and Hacks. Jean Smart is one of those people who is so unforgettable. Her performance in Legion is almost bar none, except for the fact that Dan Stevens is like the parts of me that aren't gay get gayer looking at Dan Stevens. And I just love this man. I love this show. I love Noah Hawley.
But you've never seen Downton Abbey.
That is correct. What is Downton Abbey?
That's where Dan Stevens is from.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible. I really can't even begin to tell you what this show does for me.
Also, Rachel Keller here as Sid.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, Sid. Yes. Every performance on this show.
Kind of, yeah.
Was a show that I would literally sit watching crying every episode. I think this is a rare achievement in television, and I think one of the things that sets it apart so far is every single actor was so willing to just be ugly. This was a product of a lot of people believing in their scripts, and I'm so grateful that this show exists. S+.
I remember this show coming on. I remember people being very excited about it and the cast being really good. So based on that, it got a lovely what does this one look like? I think I gave it a A. Yes. A. Kevin, what'd you think? Or TK?
I was going to let him go next because my experience
TK.
was in tandem with Nico's. So I didn't know if you had a different take.
I don't love the show as much as Nico does, but I don't think it's bad at all. So I gave it an A. I do love it a lot. I think one of its problems is that it is disconnected from anything. And they actually, given that they do a lot with it, like I actually didn't expect Charles to show up at all.
Yeah, that season 3 arc is nuts.
Yeah, and they picked a great actor for him. But like Amy Haller doesn't exist. His sister Amy Haller does not exist, which is fine. Like you can create new characters, but it just sort of
his cousin makes me want to holler. I gotta go.
There's a lot of stuff, like they really they took a ton of freedoms, and I guess just it worked, it was fine, but it was also just like I felt like if you're gonna, I just wouldn't have made it Legion if it wasn't going to be Legion. Like that nobody was Blindfold was a real bummer. Like that Sid wasn't Blindfold was a real bummer. Lenny Busker is not a person, but Aubrey Plaza was so good.
Aubrey Plaza's performance in this is like it deserves an honorary Emmy for reinterpreting a piece of horror.
Yes, 100%. The Louder Milks, both Carries don't exist. But there are characters. What's that? Yes. There are characters that already exist in the X-Men universe that could have been a lot of these characters, just to tie it to something and maybe find some ways into the X-Men continuity. I kept thinking that Jean Smart was going to be Emma Frost. You're muted.
I mean, all I'm saying is yes. I'm agreeing with you across the board. We just have different versions of agreeing with this.
Yeah, and she doesn't need to be Emma Frost, but it would have been cool. And I really like Melanie a lot. I don't know who the character was. And then, same thing with Jermaine Clement. Like, Oliver Bird is not a person, and just both the characters are really cool. Like, he could have been Sebastian Shaw, and she could have been Emma Frost. There's so much stuff there that just, like, for as great as it is, and now I'm kind of maybe wishing I had stuck with my original grades, but I was trying to be cool. For as great as everybody is, I'm just like, this isn't quite Legion. And especially since this is coming out at the time of X-Men Legacy, where Spurrier is giving us Legion. I don't know. It is really good. It's just like, it's not quite Legion.
What is the, oh my God. I was just going to ask, and Mark just mentioned it. What was the name of the this Generation X?
Yeah,
because I wanted to pull a comparison of. I feel like Legion tried to straddle the line of being X-Men and not being X-Men, the way that Generation X is not X-Men. And I feel like it leaned a little bit too far into the side of not being X-Men. And that was part of the problem. So something like Melanie being Emma, or any number of things where it could have connected a little bit better, and instead they pulled back, I think, really held the show back.
It's also like all of these people could have been... I kept thinking that they were all going to be Legion's other personalities, because that's in the comic... Legion has multiple personalities, but again, Spurrier develops it into like, we no longer have to do weird dissociative identity disorder stuff, which is never a great thing for comics and these properties to be doing. They are like entities in his head, and they all have different powers. I really thought that's ultimately, because we were in the asylum and seeing all these characters, I kind of thought the asylum was going to be Legion's head, which again is a comic book trope. So a lot of these characters that don't exist in the comics would have made sense insofar as, like, a lot of times when we get a new Legion book, we meet personalities that have never existed before, and we're like, oh, that's just the one that's the pyromancer. And you get to introduce a bunch of new characters, but never kind of just take things completely out of Marvel continuity. So I don't know. I mean, it all works. This really does feel like one of those things where it's kind of like Beacon 23, where it's like, I feel like somebody pitched a show, and then the people at MGM Plus were like, well, we bought the rights to this Hugh Howey project, and we don't want to waste that money, so we're going to take your pitch and combine it with this and call it Beacon 23, so that we didn't spend that money for nothing. It really feels like Noah Hawley had this pitch for this show, and Fox was like, well, we own Legion, and this is like vaguely Legion-esque. So we're going to give you Legionnaire's disease.
Hold on.
And
I am waiting for Beacon 24 so that my Beacon 23 theme song, based on the sheet music from Beacon 23, can be used And given the, I'm telling you guys, Beacon 23, if you aren't aware of it, is exactly what TK has described. A Hugh Howey novella series of shorts that got collected on Amazon, something along those lines, that got turned into an Apple Plus TV series for 2 seasons. No, MGM Plus. I'm sorry. And it is bizarre. It is beautiful. It is breathtaking. And there's a piece of transcribable sheet music in the show. They went to that extent. Really excellent. I just want to highlight that we have some really terrific coverage out there for Beacon 23.
Yeah, we loved it. But
really
I also sat there and cataloged for you guys the ways in which it's just not anything to do with the book at all in any way.
Oh,
Yeah.
like The Gifted?
Well, no, I think The Gifted is much more related to X-Men source material than Legion. So I gave The Gifted a B, and I sort of wish that I'd given Legion the B and Gifted the A. I was
This
on
is
the
my
whole
Okay.
more entertained by Gifted and felt more like it was an X-Men show. Lorna Dane is fantastic. Jamie Chung as Blink is fantastic. This also really could be a sequel to Days of Future Past because of the weird Nazi Von
This could be a
Strucker.
sequel to me screaming boo at you because I'm going to scream boo at you again.
Unfortunately, also, it turns out that the little kid is a weird sex pervert in real life. So now we can't have
Brother?
nice things. Yeah, the little brother.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. He
Look
just
at
got
that.
exposed for sex pervert stuff.
Very
Anyway,
technical. That's
I think this is a great show. Again, Amy Acker, I'm realizing now, just constantly gets cast as these people that ostensibly are heroes, but actually are just complete villains.
Do you think people just look at Amy Acker and go, "Yeah, she looks put upon"?
Well,
Yeah.
no, I think they look at her and go, she's always the character that's like, I'm just the sweet mom. And then when they're in the house, she's like, it's disappointing that you're gay.
Yes.
And
I just don't know why you're like this.
Yeah, like, I love you so much. I just wish that you could try something else. I swear I'm not a monster. I just created this baby as an organ farm for the child I prefer. You're actually the monster for judging me, Kate Walsh.
All right,
I
well, that
forgot
sounds
she was
actually
already
like-
on. Yeah,
What were you
Tori-
saying, Kevo?
I just couldn't remember if she had been on Grey's yet.
She has not been on Grey's yet. Do you know who she plays on Grey's?
No.
Okay,
Plays on
I will
Grays
not.
on Grays on Grays.
I will not spoil it for you. She is on Grey's. She's a very significant person to the lore, but she does not play that mom, that organ farm mom again. But she does play a very important person, and may come back. She's only in one episode, but she could come back actually this year.
Well,
Interesting.
Speaking of people who come back all year long, Tori, were you aware of The Gifted? Did you know this as anything other than the best character from Bunhead's side project? I just want to be clear with you that in the entirety of Amy Sherman Palladino as a hat-wearing motherfucker, she has produced some unbelievable television programs. Like, I mean, I think when we hear the name Amy Sherman Palladino, we all, of course, think The Return of
Gilmore
Jezebel
Girls.
James,
James, yeah.
obviously.
Obviously,
And
right.
then we eventually get to Gilmore Girls. But, and then whatever that Emmy-winning thing about the funny lady banging Lenny Bruce.
Bunheads.
First season of this show, they walked past our booth because they had just done a panel at the main Marvel table, and I got to
Yes.
shout at her that I loved her in Bunheads, and she was like, oh, "Thank you," and that made my day. Amy Acker did not make eye contact with anyone.
There is a moment where the actress who plays Polaris yanks the hair of somebody in Bunheads, and it is the literal best moment I have ever seen of
They
visual
referenced it on the Daily
comedy.
Show.
It is yes, they literally responded to it on the Daily Show. It is that good, that perfect. To see her go to this, where she plays a sort of neutered version of an overall regularly neutered character, which is disappointing enough. The The Gifted just wasn't for me. I give it a C. I don't wish it badly. I wish it better returns in the future. But The Gifted was not my kind of show.
For me, The Gifted was this weird point in like 2015 to 2018 where it seemed like two exact same shows always came out at the same time, and this was part of it. That the Gifted and Legion came out at the same time were both about mutants, X-Men kind of stuff, and one was more prestige than the other, similar to how the Prestige and I forget the name of the other one. Yes. The other movie that was about magic and stuff.
The Illusionist featuring Ed Norton.
Yeah, The Illusionist and The Prestige came out at the same time. So for me,
Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yes. So for me, Gifted got a B because I don't remember it, but that also means I don't know anything bad about it.
Go, Keva.
No, I wanted better for it, but there were a lot of things that I liked about it, and I wish that it had been given a little bit more of a chance to grow. This man was gorgeous, obviously, and she was a really fun actress, so I really liked seeing her get this work. I feel like it was mostly for me. The parents here especially, but this whole quartet that were the hardest part for me. Everyone else I really mostly liked, but Moyer and Acker are two actors who really need a softer person to play against, I think, and neither of them had that in each other.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know. So I find it very entertaining. You get a ton of, you get a real grab bag of mutants here. Mm-hmm. You get another proud star. You get, I'm not sure who Eclipse is supposed to be. He's like kind of supposed to be Sunspot, but they really want to make sure he has.
They've said that what they chose to do was pull from the best of all of the X-Men leads they ever saw. So he's meant to represent the best of Cyclops, Wolverine, Page.
And I think he does. I really do think they do, but like it's not. I don't quite know who the character is. I've always been bummed they never tried to introduce him in the comics. Skylar Samuels as the Cuckoos is fantastic. The woman next to them in the poster playing Reva Page, not that's a very obscure draw, but again, like unlike Legion, Gifted drew a lot from the comics. Even if it was an obscure character like Reva Page, but they would constantly be like, you're seeing her here because she has like a weird, she's connected to the Hellfire Club, but she's such a small reference in comics to the Hellfire Club. But the Gifted is essentially a small reference to the X-Men universe. Like this is a tiny slice of the X-Men universe that is constantly telling you outside of this little world that they're all in, there is so much X-Men stuff happening. And I think that's really cool. Only problem being, of course, that they didn't have an ecosystem to build into. So they could never be like, we'll graduate into showing you the rest of the universe. But I really do think they did a fantastic job with what they had. I don't think that she is a neutered Polaris. I think she's like a really fantastic Polaris. The Strucker thing is so weird. Only because
the Struckers.
Only because the Struckers. Only because like they are incest Nazis.
Incest Nazis. I was gonna say Nazi incest babies. Okay.
They are the Struckers in the comics are incest Nazis, and so to be like their grandkids are just like them but good. What a weird choice. I don't know. And then Stephen Moyer and Amy Acker are really playing like homophobe parents that are like, oh crap, our stupid gay kid. We gotta take care of him before he gets bashed.
Maybe Amy Adams I would have liked better.
Amy Adams, might have been a really good choice. Because the thing is, both of these two give the same thing. It's what I was talking about before, where it's just like they, even though they're constantly played as a protagonist and a good guy, they both have that same energy of like, I'm disappointed that you're gay, but I'm not going to let you get bashed. And it would,
never mind.
Yeah.
Stupid.
and it would have been nice if one parent was like, I just love you unconditionally and I'm just nurturing. And even though both characters in the end will do anything for their kids and love them so much and sacrifice everything for them, they really do both give a lot of like, have you tried not being a mutant? Anyway, I do love the show. I did give it a B. I probably, if I could go back, I would switch it. Give this the A, give Legion the B. And none of that would matter because the last thing we got from this universe was a D that should have been an F, but I didn't add F to the charts.
Hold on. I just want to say, before we have to give this a bummer grade, because there is no good grade for this, I gave it a C, not a D, because it felt like it tried really, really hard. And as a former educator, I feel really bad for the kid who tries really hard but never understands the format of the test. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with the performances from these unbelievable actors. 1, 2, 3 of them. Oh, wow. The women in this were terrific.
I mean, it's Taylor-Joy.
Oh my
She's
God.
perfect.
One of the literal best people to ever embody a comic character ever. I just want to say, zeitgeist being not just in Deadpool 2, but being borderline comic accurate is one of the most... When he acid vomited on Pete Wisdom's face was one of the greatest moments of my cinematic life. So I just wanted to say something really nice that I liked before I got to talking about a movie that very clearly looks like it was meant to have the Shadow King vaguely possess Danny and vaguely use Danny to hurt other people, and they pivoted hard at the last second. It made it just the Demon Bear, but there is very clearly something bigger afoot. Maybe there was meant to be Mr. Sinister physically in the film, but what we got was just very watered down. This is a C for being grimdark and stupid and problematic and forgettable, and but it is certainly not because of the performances from the actresses that played Rain, Danny, and Magic. Even Cecilia Reyes, who was given the absolute worst treatment since it was Agatha all along, who has never been a bad guy in her life. She's never done a bad thing because of all the bovine hormones. So I just really feel like this movie deserved better. I give it a C, and I pray for its immortal soul.
So this gets a C from me and not a D because I was very shocked to find out that it was a movie and not 12 45-minute episodes like I thought it was. I was under the impression that this was a short TV show that just never, they just kept pushing.
Boy, did you just find my favorite TV show in history?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's just Midnight Club, but with powers.
Right. Yeah, basically. So I was surprised to find out that this was a movie because I can remember seeing all of the stuff about it at the 2019 NY New York Comic Con and being like, oh, and I thought I remembered Nico saying, yeah, there's a TV show coming. It's a movie. I like a lot of the actresses in this, and I've heard terrible things. So it's a C.
Bless. I probably am gonna also say C. I am only shying away from D because of just what a sad story this. I almost said show because now we're talking about it like it's a show, but just everything about it and the fact that it was one of those things that got shunted to streaming, but it was during Pando, so it got to say it was because of Pando. Elements of it were cute and fun, but I think the fact that one of the promotion images that was so frequently used of it is like literally from the end of the movie. I feel like so much of this movie is a foregone conclusion. It feels like a really dark, mutant-powered Breakfast Club. It feels like there are different drafts where everyone's meaner to each other, and then they forgot about that, so everything doesn't jibe quite correctly. But it meant well, I hope.
Yeah, it's a D. I feel bad because it just is so bad, and I want to be able to bump up because of the great performances by especially Anya Taylor-Joy, who is like her Wolverine and Deadpool. She should get to come over to the MCU, but I suspect the X-Men, the adult X-Men, will be kids. Like, I think the people who are going to be playing Cyclops and Jean Grey are probably 20 at the oldest right now. I think some of them are probably 14 or 15 because by the time they film, they'll be 20. Because it is going to take a while to get these movies made. Anya Taylor-Joy.
What about her as an adult Wolverine-esque female character?
She could definitely be. She could definitely be old woman Ilyana to somebody else's young one, which would be cute. But like, I would have loved to have seen her get Sophie Turner three movies to be Ilyana. I would have loved to have seen her against the Ukrainian voice actor and just a piece of slab CGI that is Colossus. It's never going to work out properly, but she is great. Maisie Williams is doing her best, but she's wrong for the role. The person playing Danny, again, doing their best. It's not. It's a whole thing that doesn't quite work. The kid from Stranger Things doesn't do great.
No.
The kid who is Sunspot doesn't do great. The race stuff is really weird. Cecilia Reyes is a black woman. Black women are underrepresented. She should have been a black woman. She also shouldn't have been a villain. Black Brazilian people are unheard of in American film, so it was so disappointing that we didn't get a black Brazilian Beto. Yeah, I don't know. There's just, even the stuff that is good doesn't overcome the stuff that is bad. So it just is a D, and that's that. Such a bummer. But I love that our ratings are such that most of these didn't do as badly averaged out amongst everybody as any one of us might have thought they would have done. I would be very curious if we'd added in an F tier to this, because there's a couple of these that are Fs to me, if things might have played out a little differently. But I love that we all had slightly different love for these in our own ways. And yeah, like I said, among total results average ratings, none of these got a D. So, you know, a group of us loved each of these movies no matter what.
I love that. And I just want to, end this thing because it went so long in a good way.
Long.
Really excited because one of the things is that, Kevo, from that first image to that last image, would you just show us the date on X-Men and then the date on New Mutants real quick?
It is just almost 20 years. It's a little over 20 years from July 2000 to August 2020.
And now we're adding 4 years later, a return finally with Deadpool 3, with Deadpool and Wolverine to say goodbye to this universe. And okay, yeah, fine. I maybe think that some movies were Ds, but it's kind of nice that nothing averaged a D. I think everything sort of landed somewhere between let's fucking go and nix it. Apocalyptic, certainly a number of films, and we could have even added in Multiverse of Madness, which I would have not given it a very high grade. So maybe it's better that we didn't. But I loved this. Tori, when you come in, it's so important because your experience with nerdism is so undervalued and underrepresented in comics journalism and in podcastery. When people say that you had to grow up with it, well, fuck you. Most of you didn't. Shut up. You grew up with the animated series. You didn't grow up buying books. And if funny pages aren't your thing, that's fine. But Tori, you've read like 1,000-something issues in the last like 5 years. You've like absorbed so much of the Marvel universe that when you speak on it, it's important and it should be listened to. How do you feel about this overall experience on going over the full Fox Marvel X-verse, and where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
I think actually a lot of these movies serve as the like the mirror or the prequel ideas to where we got for the Marvel universe. It was like we had to trip through a couple of these X-Men things to get where we were going with everything else. Because at the same time that a lot of these early ones were coming out, all we had was, I guess the Daredevil movie happened around then. But where it's really like the beginning of the Superman Return stuff, the Batman Nolan trilogy, like that kind of grim, dark, or to sanitize kind of superheroes. So like to have the X-Men kind of say, you can bring in excellent actors, get the comics people interested, and keep them coming back every couple years. Because that's the other thing, is that these seem to be every 2 or 3 years, as opposed to Marvel, which pretty quickly went to it's at least every year, if not 2, 3, 4 times a year. Right. It's like watching, I guess, like the first season and a half of Parks and Rec, where nothing quite lines up, but you know where it's going to get. And it's just unfortunate that by the time we get to the end of a lot of like the last ones of these, it's been so outshone by how much grip Marvel has on the entire genre. So I am getting a lot of nostalgic feels, and now I feel really bad that I didn't watch all of these before we chatted, but I'm going to soon. But that's because I was catching up on other things for our other projects. But you can find me here talking about those other things and other projects, as well as online at SM Tori. That's Tori with an I.
Well,
And yeah.
Tori, I don't mean to cut you off. I want to say, though, that one of the things that I am so excited about is that people are going to be able to check you out on some of those other projects that you've been catching up on, like perhaps some Drag Race coverage. I hear you just started a new season. We are very excited to have you on the coverage that we're going to continue for the rest of the year, plus maybe something called Global All-Stars.
Global All-Stars, Canada versus the world.
You're just living it up big time.
All kinds of things. Yeah, you all just. I was like, oh, once I finish season 16, I'll be able to like chill out and watch other stuff. Nope. Got to catch up for Canada versus the world. Got to catch up for Global All Stars. Gotta keep this train a cooking.
Well, okay. Let me ask you a crazy question. What queen would you cast as an X person? No. I mean, like literally, who would you pluck from all of Drag Race and make an X person? I don't mean cast them as an X character. I mean, who is an X-Man to you?
Oh, which of them is a mutant?
Yeah.
Which of the drag queens is a mutant? That's a really great question. We do have to ask ourselves similar things where, I mean, if we're, I'm sorry?
I was commenting that Kev was so talented. I'm so sorry.
It's RuPaul. I mean, it's probably the best answer. Like, if you're gonna drag anyone over to the X-Men universe, it's gonna be RuPaul. She won't let anyone else do it. But which of the drag queens is a mutant? Oh gosh. It's. I mean, I'm just gonna open this up and look at my top. Let's say Sasha Velour. Classic.
I love that.
Simple. Throw it down. Yeah.
I love that, Tori. I hope everybody goes out, finds you online, follows your exploits, and checks out your amazing comic work like Kid Riot, Capes and Boots, and more. And I hope they check out all of your amazing podcast work, things like The Billy Club, your appearances on this show and everywhere else. Thank you so much for being a part of our excellence, and we can't wait to see you for Drag Brunch on Sunday.
Yay, Drag Brunch!
Speaking of Drag Brunch and somebody you can check out producing the shit out of that show, Kevo, talk to me about what you're thinking.
Well, there's somewhere else that you can find Tori and her amazing work and her amazing thoughts and all of our amazing work and amazing thoughts, because we are just 1 month out from FlameCon, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be on the floor, and we also have some amazing content that we are going to be providing. We have panels both days, which is very cool. We have an awesome panel celebrating queer visibility and youth entertainment on Saturday, August 17th at 2:15 p.m. in Room B. And then back in Room B again on Sunday, August 18th, we have another panel celebrating Doctor Who and Star Trek and 60 years of boundary-pushing science fiction. So that is going to be a really fun time. Looking forward to talking about those things with these cool cats and a bunch of other amazing guests. And yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And until then, you can find me on the socials, ostensibly, over at Kev O'Reilly. That's Kevoreally.
No, Kevy. No, not yet. No. Who is your mutant drag queen? It's so important.
It's
Oh,
not.
no, you're doing this to the others, too?
Yeah, I don't have an answer.
Say Jinx.
Sure, Jinx.
Great
Sasha,
answer.
because you know Sasha.
So
Any
two
Sasha.
Sashas and a Jinx.
Colby.
TK's
Oh, no.
on mute.
You can find me at TK Elemental on all the socials. Oh, Lord. Okay, I mean, like, Laganja's going to have amazing weed smoking powers. Gia Gunn is going to turn shade into an actual weapon. Bianca, she's going to be like Lotus Logos from the Arakai, except rather than just like shooting metal out of her mouth that's somehow words, it's going to be insults. But ultimately, you got to trust the Duchess. Alyssa Edwards, I don't know what the mutant power would even be. Just nonsense. Like, you get into her nonsense field.
Just
and
confusion. Just all
yeah,
the
like
confusion.
when you get
dances
into
you
her
into
nonsense
confusion.
field, she's fine. She's totally good. But you are just like, I have no fucking clue what's happening. And, you know, Mr. Sinister could never stand up to that. So that's what I got. Nico, I believe you make music, and I want to hear all about that. And I also want to hear about who you think would be a drag queen X-Man.
Well, you guys can check my music out at Nico Action Music. That's NicoActionMusic. I think Adore Delano is sort of like the siren of the Dragverse mutant universe. And I'm not sorry about it. You guys can check out my other stuff at Nico Action. That's NicoAction. Check out our podcast feed at X is for Podcast and our YouTube feed at X is for Show. Don't forget to check us out Sunday morning in 10:30 EST. That's sort of like how all drag brunches work. They just sort of start ish, and so definitely just kind of hop onto YouTube and Twitter and hope for the best. But otherwise, you can check me out at Nico Action. That's NicoAction. And until then, 3 things you guys can do for us. That's like, comment, and subscribe. And 3 things you guys can do for yourselves. Number 1, please stay safe. It's a crazy world out there. I'm actually going to throw in another thing. Be kind and be brave, right? I'm going to make it 4 things, right? So I guess be kind and be brave. Being kind is really cool. Make sure you do it. Being brave, amazing thing to do. Being who you are in this universe is crazy. But always evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, we love it. Who you are today, amazing. But who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And until we come back, keep living that dream, and we'll see ya.